Good evening, race fans, and welcome to week 2 of the Triple M Pulling Truck Series. We are live tonight from the Long Pond, Pennsylvania for the Millie's Pest and Restaurant and Catering 200 at Pocono. I am with Wesley Outland here in the booth tonight, and Adam Flieger is the man behind the cameras. Will, what can we expect tonight from this 2.5 mile tricky triangle?
Well, good evening to everybody. Of course, this is the 2.5 mile Pocono Raceway in the mountains of the Keystone State, and this is the virtual sim. We should have a fun time here. This is a racetrack, honestly, Hunter, that runs a lot like a road course or super speedway. We got a great field of trucks. I think we're at close to 40 trucks, 38, 37 trucks. I think we're going to have a really, really good race, and I think these drivers are going to have to be patient. We're not super speedway racing, though it's still a 2.5 mile track like Daytona. I think we're going to see a really, really good show here tonight, no doubt about it.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned the super speedway road course feel. Three different types of corners as we're seeing on as your screen right now as we're starting off qualifying. Turn 1, big wide sweeping. Turn 2, almost a 90-degree, and then another flat sweeping turn 3 coming to a long straightaway.
Yeah, and you know these turns are very unique because actually, Hunter, they are reminisce or they mimic a real racetrack. I think one is actually the Milwaukee Mile. The other one is Trenton, New Jersey's racetrack that's dormant today. And the other one is, of course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with the way of the corners. So those corners, the straightaways, mimic what these racetracks are. And, of course, you're going to see a really, really good race. It's a triangle. There's no turn 4. And, again, as I mentioned, you're making lefts and sharp left-hand turns. And it's a track that you feel like you're road course racing like we were at COTA last night. But hands down, it's going to be a fast, exciting racetrack for the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200. No doubt about it. 80 laps the distance, 200 miles on a 2.5 mile racetrack. I know it's an 80-lap race, but these guys are going to have to get it fast and get it going. And definitely, Hunter, they got to stay out of trouble. That's one of the key things here.
For sure. Very tight corners in some spaces as that tunnel turn off of turn 2 funnels down really quick from such a long straightaway there. What's going to be the key to success to staying alive? As you mentioned, it's just a very tight racetrack.
Well, it is a very tight racetrack, like you said, Hunter. And like I said, you got to stay out of trouble. I think you've also got to be patient. You got to be able to make the moves that you need to get to the front, but you've also got to have some patience in doing it. And whoever can be able to do that here at the end of the first 2 stages, and that's another thing we haven't even talked about yet. Get through those first 2 stages of the race, Hunter, and then once you can do that, then you can set yourself up for what will be that final 3rd stage. And then of course, I'll say this. I know this is a 2.5 mile racetrack. We're not at Daytona, but super speedway racing last week with the trucks. What a wild race that was when it was all said and done. With, of course, Matt Mowrer picking up the win. But what I will say this though, you're going to have teammates here for this race, for this event here tonight at Pocono. No doubt, you're going to have people that you think they're going to be your friends. They're going to run with you. They're going to hang with you, and then they might bail on you, and vice versa. You might make relationships on the racetrack. So the Pocono is not a super speedway per se. It's a big track. And I do see that there will be some tandem drafting and a lot of teammate working to get to the racetrack as well.
For sure, you're going to need to be on a strategy with your team. Strategy was the thing we talked about last week with Daytona when it came down to the fuel mileage part of it. Tonight, these drivers are at 100% fuel, but now we got to talk about the tire wear and when to take tires, when not to need them, because new tires at this sort of racetrack can be very beneficial. Just know from experience racing on the sim that these corners, turn 1 especially, new tires compared to old tires, it is just night and day difference.
Yeah, it certainly is. And this course is qualifying is just about ready to wrap up here. We're watching these guys working their way, trying to put their best lap on the racetrack. It looks like unofficially right now, Stephen Light is the man that has put down the best lap on the qualifying, 54.92. But again, you got some more time here to see if somebody can be able to get a lap. You get one lap to try to make a fast lap here. You got Robert Richards, by the way, Robert Richards, truck winner on Monday night for the race at Homestead for the Sim Racer Hub NASRA Truck Series. And then again, it's but mile and a half racetrack, obviously a different program than what the Triple M Pulling Pro Series is. But, we'll see if he can carry this momentum. And right now, no doubt about it, he is the man that's right now the number 3 spot. Adam Newbert, Nate Mowrer. Remember we mentioned about Nate Mowrer. He won 3-4 weeks in a row for the Monday night series, and then he finally got beat the other night by Robert Richards. But he was right there in the crosshairs of making something happen. So got a lot of drivers you got to keep an eye on and watch. And again, Hunter, I think it's going to be really exciting and fun to see what they do here in Pocono.
Yeah, I'm very eager to see a lot of these names that you mentioned. All very, very tough front runners. And now we're going to have a racetrack where we went to the Coliseum where it was tight. It was a bull ring. We went to Daytona last week. Almost anyone's fair game. Tonight, I think we're going to see a little bit more of driver ability rather than that little bit of aspect of luck in making it through a wreck, which we'll still have a little bit of that later on. But more so, I'm going to say we're going to have a lot more strategy play into tonight.
Let's watch now and see what truck number 43 can do. There's the 20, Jose Luis Rivera, also on clock. Trey Pitts in 21. And again, Hunter, they get one lap. They got that one lap to try to put down a really good time here to see if anybody can bump Stephen Light. But right now, his truck is the strongest. Devin Painter, Robert Richards, Joey Doucette, Adam Newbert is currently your top 5. Ed Osborne, there you see truck number 42. He's on course now. We'll see who can put down a quick lap. Here's the New Jersey native, Jeff Sickles in 22. Right now, he's in the top 20 in his Toyota.
Yeah, Sickles coming off a good week last week at Daytona. Currently sitting 6th early on in the points. I know it's a little bit early to be talking about points, but every race is going to matter. Every stage point's going to matter, as you're going to hear us talk throughout the progression of the season. You need to get as many of those as you can get. When it comes down to that playoff, with how stout this field is, every little bit is going to make a huge difference, advancing your spot to a championship run.
Putney, Vermont native Dana Shepard right there in truck number 45. NTG entry. Working his way down on the big part of the backstretch off turn 1, entering 2. We'll see what Dana Shepard can do. It's right now still Stephen Light, Devin Painter, Keith Bradley, by the way. Keith Bradley, I don't know if you know the story, Hunter, but he's actually got COVID. Him and his wife does. And still, even though under the weather, not feeling well, he is still 3rd fast in qualifying. Pretty good time put down for the animal.
Yeah, I was talking to him earlier on before this race started. He's still got that little chirp on his back, so I wouldn't hesitate to see that 29 still run up front tonight and be a strong competitor for a win.
Dana Shepard will punch in on 20th in his Chevrolet. Ed Osborne looks like just wrapping up his lap on qualifying, 24th. And Dana Shepard still at speed on the back straightaway. James Morris is up now, truck number 96. As some of these drivers continuing to race the clock and put that best lap time down. Right now, there you see of the 33 that have so far qualified, Stephen Light is the fast time. You watch our little scoring ticker up on the top. Light, Painter, Bradley, followed by Lothian and Richards, your top 5.
Last week, I know we were at Daytona where your qualifying lap almost didn't matter in a sense, where you had the ability to drive through a field quick if need be. But how different does a qualifying lap tonight make for starting up front towards starting in the middle of the back in the pack?
So I'll tell you this: if you want to qualify in the middle of the pack, I think you're in danger of being where possibly the aggressive driving and the danger zone might be. If you're anywhere in the top 15 on back to the 36, 37 starting spot, you got to be mindful. If you're up there in the top 10 here at Pocono, I think you got a nice, comfortable starting position. Just got to hold your line as it looks like it's about to become an official for the BP Racing for Autism number 97 Chevrolet Stephen Light. It looks like he is the fast qualifier. He gets it done here at the Pocono Raceway.
Yeah, that's definitely a good start for that team tonight. Just to be able to have one of your drivers up on the front row for the start of this 85 lapper brought to you here at Pocono in the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200. As qualifying is wrapped up, let's take a look at your starting grid as they are lining up right now down pit road.
So it looks like Stephen Light's going to be on the pole, the fast qualifier. Devin Painter to the outside, row 1, row 2. Keith Bradley and Blake Lothian. Row number 3 of those Fords. Row 3, Robert Richards, Homestead winner on Monday, followed by Joey Doucette in the number 6 position. Row 4 will find Adam Newbert, Nate Mowrer in the winner at Daytona back last week. And the top 10 will find Dana Shepard and Keith Haney in the top 10.
Starting in row number 6 is going to be Trey Pitts, and to his outside, our friend to the north, Chris Cinnamon. And the next row back is going to be his teammate, the 81 of Taylor Peacock, and to his outside, the 23 of Stephen Thomas. Next row from there will be the 18 of Justin Lumpkin and the 11 of Derek Kilgore. Next row will be Kyle Hess in the 86, and your current point leader, the 9 of Christopher Blanchard. Behind him, you will find the 20 of Jose Luis Rivera, and to his outside, James D. Morris in that 20th position.
Jonathan Pugh will start in the 21st spot along with Jeff Sickles. Couple of Toyotas make up row number 11, followed by Raul Meza and Jacob Klinkhart, row number 12. Ed Osborne and Ron Hunter make up row number 13. And you see the rest of the lineup here of all those drivers of Clarity. And also, it looks like Fonda and Cody Knott. I'm sorry, my vision is very distorted here looking at the graphics for what the lineup is. But as you see the rest of the lineup, as it scrolls down, you can see Castell, Hartwick, Hales, Lawrence, Abbott, Bullock, Moore, Emos, and that is the way. 36 drivers will come down to the green flag for the starting lineup here of 38 trucks here tonight at Pocono. By the way, it is the Millie's Catering and Restaurants 200. However, 85 laps is 212 and a half miles. And that is the total distance, Hunter Parsons, that they will race here tonight at Pocono.
For sure. Definitely going to be an exciting 212 miles, without a doubt. Going to be definitely a little bit of carnage, I'm going to guess, early on in the stage, as everyone's going to start to figure out where they want to go, how to maneuver through traffic. But definitely got to keep your eye out for that tunnel turn after the Long Pond straightway, coming out of turn 1 all the way down to turn 2. Definitely going to want to figure out where you're going to be early on as you start to make your entrance into that corner, as it's definitely going to get a little hairy at times.
Patience is a virtue. We mentioned that earlier, and I think that's exactly what you have to do to be there at the end. To first win the race, you must first finish. And here's something to think about, Hunter. Last Friday night at Daytona with Will and yourself, and I had the privilege to join you guys in the booth for NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Opener Season 6. Nate Mowrer won the race, yes, but the reason why he did it was he strategically waited patiently to be there at the end of the final stage. You've got to do that here at Pocono, but you also, in addition to that, have to pick and choose when to be aggressive and when not to, as it looks like we're going to go one more lap under caution before we get ready to turn them loose here for the start of the race.
For sure, it's all going to come down to who can be almost aggressive, but know when to take it easy, when to back off, when to pounce at the right moment. But one driver that, Wes, I want to keep my eye on is he's had a few rough weeks at the Coliseum, even last week at Daytona, getting wrecked early on. He qualified up in the top 6. My eyes are going to be pointed on that 16 of Joey Doucette. I know he had a rough week last week. He's suffering an injury before racing, made it a little bit tougher on him. But he came back pretty strong tonight, qualifying 6th. I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes on that purple machine.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what Joey Doucette can do. That Chevrolet right there on the top right of the monitor there. And that purple machine currently in the top 5, 6 positions when they come to the green flag, row number 3, when they get this thing started. By the way, again, it's Light and Painter up on the front row. There you see those trucks, those 97 and 99 alongside each other. The 43 and the 29 of Mike Lothian, as well as Keith Bradley. Doucette, Richards, we just mentioned those drivers. Row number 3, Newbert and Mowrer. Mowrer, can he continue that momentum of winning at Daytona last Friday night? We'll see how he does right now. And all the while, we set up the rest of the lineup with Dana Shepard and Keith Haney. We had a pretty good strong run last night at COTA. Fell back in the end, unable to finish the race, several laps down. Hunter, I got to give you props, man. The last couple of nights on Nazareth, you've done good, set fast time for the trucks at Homestead, but then you fell back, came back to finish in a solid top 10. And then, of course, in addition to that, also a top 5 last night at COTA for the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good run lately. Hopefully I can cap it off with a win here, but we'll take it on as we go. As Barney was waving the green there as we were conversing a little bit, we're going to have a side-by-side battle going through turn 1 all the way throughout the field. Stephen Lake going to lead him down into 1, inching ever so slightly in front of the 99 of Painter to grab that lead as they head down the long straight.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a virtual race. Here come the trucks steaming at speed down the back straightaway. Going off of turn 1, heading into turn number 2. They'll work their way through another short chute of the racetrack. Working now down off turn 2 to the back stretch again, another straightaway into turn number 3. What turn 4? There is no turn 4 here at Pocono. 2.5 miles. I know this track is the same size of Daytona, but it's so different in configuration, and that's what makes you race it differently. As they come steaming to the line, it's Stephen Light leading lap number 1. Painter second. Lothian and Bradley battle for third. That's in turn number 1.
And as you mentioned, tricky triangle, 3 different corners. As you're a driver, how do you try and tackle these 3 corners, or how does it you tackle it as a driver if you're good at these high bank corners but you struggle at these low bank corners? How hard do you want to try and push yourself to learn throughout the race to try and learn from your competition to try and edge yourself ahead?
In the early going of this race, you're on board now with the animal Keith Bradley from Lawrenceburg, Indiana. He's right now in the number 3 position in his Ford. Number 29, diving down below, hugging the yellow line, climbing the racetrack now, working off the safer barrier, down the front straightaway, and looks like Light and Painter mirror driving one another as this goes on in Bradley's rear view mirror, or front view mirror. They're going at it again, going to turn number 1.
As you mentioned, stages earlier are going to be at the end of 20 and 40. Certainly 20 laps around here is going to be quite a long time, especially on these tires. As we mentioned early on, they're going to have to conserve a little bit. If you're one of the front 2 trucks, you almost don't want to race the guys too hard because you're putting yourself at a risk to get passed by Bradley right now, sitting 3rd, probably just conserving his truck a little bit to be there at the end of the stage.
Right now, Keith Bradley holding on to that top spot as the laps underway in the opening laps. Couple have completed. Working now off of turn number 3. Coming back down to the start-finish line. Now with this battle here, here's the battle for 7th and 8th, Joey Doucette. And something happened, by the way. Haney's truck fell back, and now he's losing ground on Doucette's truck. Now he's trying to reel him back in. Long straightaway here at Pocono, and they'll send it back off into turn number 1 as we work lap number 3.
Yeah, just breaking that momentum just a little, ever so slightly, could definitely hurt you, especially on these long straightaways. You got to hit your marks, be consistent. As we see it, Haney's going to tuck under the bumper of Doucette. And he's looking, peeking to the inside as they come down through the tunnel turn. Haney backs off. Doucette is going to keep that run and stay out in front of that 76 machine, or 87 of Haney.
Well, it's Light still the leader. Stephen Light in that 97 as we still watch this unorganized traffic working their way to the straightaway. That was Doucette, Newbert, Haney, Mowrer going at it. This is back up front with the leaders as we're working now lap number 4 of 85 for 212 and a half miles here at Pocono for round number 2 of season 6 of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. This is the premier sanctioning body of NASRA where it all got started. And how about it with 38 screaming trucks roaring down the back straightaway? They're still trying to run down Light. Here comes a little organization as they're now doing a little side by, well, not side by side. They're, toe-to-toe single file is what I meant to say. The conga line working their way off of turn number 2, working to the third turn. No one jumping out of line. There's that nice group of trucks we were just talking about. Then you got them starting to do-si-do 2x2 as they come back off of 3.
Yeah, everyone right now pretty single file, just riding around as they're heading down the front stretch down into turn 1. Light is still going to be your leader, showing out very strong, just almost a half second over Painter, and then almost a second back to Bradley. So kind of a top 2 breakaway from the rest of the field, as you're going to have Keith Bradley, 29, and Blake Lothian, 3rd and 4th, and round out your top 5 early on. And this one's going to be Robbie Richards in that 48 on screen right now. Everyone working together, doing a great job, keeping it clean.
Still a long way to go in this race, like we mentioned. Obviously now closing in on 80 laps to go. We talk about the stage breaks, Hunter? What are the stage breaks for this race here tonight?
Stage breaks tonight are going to be at the end of 20 and 40. And then from there, they're going to have a 45-lap stage 3 where they're going to have to worry about the fuel conservation and tires. Not going to have to worry about fuel or tires in the first 2 stages, as our fuel window tonight is going to be looking at about 28 to 30 laps. Talking to some drivers beforehand just to get an idea. So not going to have to worry about any fuel strategy or saving in the first 2 stages. But like I mentioned, that 45-lapper, you got to pick and choose when is the right time to head down pit road.
And obviously the trucks do not race at Pocono, but I will say that hands down, if this was a full capacity race for the trucks at Pocono, no doubt about it, 28, 30 laps would be the fuel strategy. That's when they would be coming in. As look at that awesome driver helmet on Devin Painter, loving the helmet. Looks like it's kind of a peed off Venom, if you will, going off into the corner. And that's Devin Painter's truck Chevrolet 99 in the number 2 spot, as he is trying all he can, inside, outside, mirror driving him, trying to get to Stephen Light, but Light is a strong truck. The green 97 sells him off back into the corner on lap number 8.
Yeah, and for those of you at home that are kind of wondering what they're doing down that front stretch, when they're trying to dive low or dive up, they're trying to keep that car from behind them, trying to catch their draft. As you saw, Light was down at the bottom, so Painter went down to the bottom, trying to just hold on to that little bit of draft, try and suck up to your leader as you watch Stephen Light kind of clip that wall going into turn 2 down there. Going to slow him down just a little bit and allow Painter to kind of reel in on that back bumper, but no damage done. Now we look back to 29 and Keith Bradley and Robbie Richards in that 48. They're starting to reel in on your leaders a little bit here.
Working their way back to the straightaway yet again. Another lap. 85 laps the distance here. Stephen Light is the man out in front. Devin Painter, Keith Bradley, Robert Richards, followed by Blake Lothian in the top 5. And they're all single file. And again, honestly, in this first stage, Hunter, this is exactly what you need to do. Be patient, just ride, knock off laps, fill your competition out, fill your truck out, and then be able to make whatever adjustments are needed when you come to the pit lane here, if you choose to pit at the end of stage number 1.
For sure. As I mentioned kind of earlier on in the race, you got to conserve those tires a little bit. We watched early on, we saw Painter and Light, they started to drive away from the field. They had about a second and a half over Bradley. And now here we are. We got 10, 11 laps to go left in the stage. This time by as they cross the line. And now Bradley and Richards, they've closed that gap on your front too. So driving away a little bit early on may just end up hurting you in these 20 lap stages.
Working now lap number 10 when they complete this lap next time by when they come to the line. Light, Painter, Bradley. There you see the ticker up on the top of the 38 trucks on course. Light, Painter, Bradley, Richards, Lothian, your top 5. Newbert, Haney, Doucette, Mowrer, Daytona winner last week. Thomas, your top 10 in the truck number 23. Those are the drivers in the top 10. But again, nice distance between everybody. The gap in the top 10 right now, almost 5 seconds from the leader to 10th, and even more further so on back of the 38 starters of the races. They complete now lap number 10 here at Pocono, Hunter.
Yeah, you're riding on board right now with the 29 of Keith Bradley as he's going to draft up to that black bumper, the 99 of Painter, cut down to the bottom of that Trenton Speedway, turn 1, down Long Pond straightway. And as they're going to be heading down into the tunnel turn, he pulls alongside the 99 of Devin Painter, trying to chase down your race leader, Stephen Light.
Look at this, man. I'm digging this camera angle showing the camber and the springs and the shocks and all that there on the 29 of Bradley's truck, or whoever's truck they were just showing of. As Bradley right there now moving into the number 2 spot. Devin Painter falling back to 3rd. He's now got Robert Richards right behind him in truck number 48, the Homestead winner for the Sim Racer Hub Truck Series on Monday night. And all the while, now they fan back out single file. Richards with a great dive in there, but he can't reel in Bradley. And Bradley is holding off Painter and Richards as they work their way to try to now work lap 12 and try to run down Stephen Light.
Yeah, for sure. 2.5 miles around. Still got 9 laps to go in the stage. Certainly don't count that 29 out yet for catching down the 97 of Light. But right now, if I'm Steven, I'm loving every minute of what was going on behind me. 3 trucks battling out for second and just try and drive away as Steven has it opened back up to almost a 1.5 second lead over the 29 of Keith Bradley.
Stephen Light, Keith Bradley, Devin Painter, Robert Richards. There you see those trucks battling, going back off into the corner. Nowhere in sight is the leader. As they go back off into the turn, there's your top 5 from 2nd to 5th. It's 12 laps are now completed here. And Stephen Light nowhere in sight. That's the big, oh, there he is. But he's got about a 10 truck length lead over the man in 2nd of Keith Bradley. Bradley holds this organized trucks of single file, working now off of the corner. Off of 2, another part of the straightaway, going to turn number 3. And again, right now, just laps flying by, and that's a good thing here. No doubt about it, Hunter. And like I mentioned, get in line, knock these laps off, knock these 2 stages out of the way, and then you see where you're going to go to stage 3 for the win.
For sure, and as you mentioned, we're coming down to almost 6 laps to go in this stage. We haven't really talked about anyone else outside of this top 5, but right now, I'm looking at the 93 of Zach Hartwick. He kind of had a rough qualifying lap, put himself behind the 8 ball, started 31st, and as we have him on camera right now, he's already worked his way up to 17th. So plus 14 laps in, he's doing a great job picking off some drivers, trying to get as many positions as he can before the end of the stage.
Oh, here comes an opportunity. Looks like Bradley. And just like that, can you believe how fast those trucks that were way behind have now reeled in the leader? Bradley has closed in on Light. So is also Richards. There's Richards right behind him. Painter as well, Lothian. And what used to be probably about a over 1, 2, 3 second lead has now diminished thanks to that big draft behind and those trucks tandem working together. Running down now, the leader, Stephen Light. And now you see Keith Bradley pulling away from the other trucks that were in that tandem draft. And he now in his own world trying to run down Stephen Light as we work now lap 15 coming up.
Yeah, he's going to have about 5 laps to go this time by when they come through the line to try and chase down your leader. Start of that lap, he was only 9/10 back, and it certainly looks like it's closed down to a lot more than that. As right now you are looking on screen with the 29 machine, that Upfront Motorsports entry, Keith Bradley from Indiana. He is going to try to do everything he can to catch down that 97. We're looking back right now at the 81 of Taylor Peacock. Another driver last week that had a little bit of misfortune at Daytona, trying to bounce back. Through turns 1 and 2, you're still looking at the 87 of Keith Haney. Mowrer in that 971. And Stephen Thomas working his way up inside the top 10 here at early on in this race. And Doucette falling back just a little bit, still holding on to that 10th position, holding on to that one playoff point for that top 10 in the end of the stage. As they're going through turns 3 and 4, single file, being patient, all it's going to take here to try and come away with a solid run here at the Tricky Triangle here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, really good, strong run. Watching these guys working their way back around the racetrack. And again, just watching the end of stage number 1 with these final remaining laps. And you got to remember, Michael McKinnon and myself last night, we did the Over-the-Top Designs Xfinity Series at COTA. Again, Hunter, I mentioned you shamelessly, Bubba, from Green Bay, Wisconsin, finishing in a solid top 5 finish in that race. Although you did tell me whenever we come on the air for our pre-race meeting that you hated that track. You did not like it whatsoever. But I will say what a phenomenal job you did somehow, some way, finishing in the top 5. But with that being said, the first 2 stages, or stage 1, was no caution thrown because it was a road course. There will be a caution here in the next couple of laps whenever they complete lap number 20 to top 10 across the scoring line, and we'll have a yellow flag. And it looks like if nothing changes here, that might be the first yellow flag of the race, which will be a stage caution.
For sure. And as we mentioned that just a couple laps ago, still looking at about a second gap between your front 2 trucks, and then about another second back from Bradley to the 48 of Robbie Richards, who has opened it up to about 2 seconds over Painter and Newbert. So some of those guys that were running hard up front early on starting to fade back just a little ways, as we're going to have a side-by-side battle with the 93 of Hartwick. And I'm not quite sure who that is on the bottom, blinking in and out, but Chris Blanchard's going to be leading that little bit of a trio down into turn 2.
Stephen Light, the leader. Truck number 97, there's Keith Bradley. Truck number 29, working the final couple of laps in stage 1 here at Pocono. Robert Richards, Adam Newbert, by the way, climbing into the top 5. He's in 4th, along with Devin Painter, who earlier was in the front row. He's now fell back to 5th. Keith Bradley, there you see him trying to run down Light, but honestly, right now, I honestly think you just need to stay in your position. Nothing wrong with silver, if you will, Hunter. Get those 9 playoff points and get ready to reset for stage number 1. Get ready for stage 2. And I really do think also you're going to see everybody come down to the pit lane at the completion of the of stage 1 also.
For sure. They're going to for sure need fuel. Some of these drivers, they might even not take tires, try and last that 20 laps without going a lap down, just to have an extra set there at the end of this one if there's a late race caution to use at their disposal. I know some of the drivers, that's just how they like to play it out. They'd rather not take tires now and have a set when you need them later on. So it'll be eager to see who does what here as we start playing into a little bit of strategy. As the white flag has come out on this stage 1. Nothing really going to change up front. Stephen Light going to drive away with the stage win. Keith Bradley in the 2. Robbie Richards going to have that third spot locked down, but it's a battle from fourth on back to Newbert, Painter, Lothian, Haney, and Thomas. As you're looking right now, the 99 is going to lead him through the tunnel turn, holding on to that 5 spot. As they're coming out of turn 4, grabbing the stage 1 victory is going to be the 97 of Stephen Light, followed by the 29 of Keith Bradley, and rounding out the top 3 in stage 1 will be the 48 of Robbie Richards.
Now remember, everybody in the top 10 will cross the line, including Nate Mowrer, Daytona winner. There's your top 10. And then the yellow flag will be displayed, as right now there is your 10 drivers that will accumulate points per the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series here tonight in round 2 at Pocono. They will accumulate their points, and they will then reset and get ready for stage number 2 coming up. There you see the winner of stage number 1 here tonight at Pocono. Stephen Light, the fast qualifier, drop of the green, never look back. And again, Hunter Parsons, Bubba, is that your nickname, Bubba? He is your stage 1 winner in the truck number 97 here at the Tricky Triangle, buddy.
Yeah, as we're going to be doing these pace laps, get caught up, do some pit stops, give you a little bit of insight to that, Bubba. I ran with these guys last year in the truck series almost as a rookie in the series. Had some good buddies, Blanchard, Peacock, ran with those guys. And a lot of the weeks, I just had unfortunate luck, got into some damage, got into some other guys just at some bad luck. And all of a sudden, we started doing some of these money races you guys see posted on Facebook, stuff like that. And usually when it comes down to that last lap, it's almost like a no-holds-barred kind of deal. And ended up getting pushed into one of my teammates, wrecked him and wrecked the entire field. So then obviously Bubba Wallace. So had kind of got that one stuck as a nickname here within the NASRA group. So, but like I mentioned, these NASRA guys, bunch of guys here, they run almost 2, 3, 4 nights a week with each other. So very good group of guys to race with. Always room in these leagues. So if anyone watching wants to get in on the action, certainly just message the Facebook page here, and owner Brady LaBeouf can get you set up. Definitely a good group of guys to race with.
And I will say that it has been a privilege being able to work with you, Hunter, for a couple of races, as well as with Tyler Detmer, Michael McKinnon, as well as Will. And Will is the guy that I'm filling in for this week as he is on vacation. I'm pretty sure that our buddy William Tiller will be back at the helm coming up next week, unless something changes. And I'll be around a time or two. Maybe some big shows. I'll work with you. I think possibly maybe doing the Thursday night Xfinity series after me and Brady talked yesterday. If there's no real broadcast conflicts or whatnot, but it is amazing to see what NASRA's done. And yes, by the way, as we see green flag pit stops, or excuse me, I'm sorry, the end of stage 1 calls a caution, and we see the first green pit stops taking place. Again, NASRA is running on Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and soon to be Saturday also, as they are working on an IMSA, just like the Rolex 24 at Daytona. I think that Brady LaBeouf has a niche and a passion for an IMSA road course series, if you will, for NASRA on Saturday. As the cavalry comes across the start-finish line, there's more trucks on pit lane. How about that? In first, out first, stage 1 winner, pole winner, Stephen Light. Going to be the first man back out on track. A strong run in truck number 97, no doubt here, Hunter.
Yeah, we'll pull him up here in a quick second before we get doubled up and going back. But just to touch on that, what NASRA has to offer. If you don't know what you want to run, NASRA has just about everything. Sundays, as you mentioned, it'll be, I believe, a fixed next-gen series. Tuesday, we have the Sim Racer Hub Truck Series, which it's almost kind of like a sister league to the Friday night. Where
Monday night.
Monday night, yes. Yeah. That stepping stone. Thursday is the Xfinity Series, which they're still looking for some drivers. It's very early on in that season. We're only 3 weeks in, I believe, coming up on week 4. And then always the high-prevalent Friday night truck series here in the Triple M pulling.
Yeah.
so always something. And then that Saturday road course, which is right now in the works. So be on the lookout for some recruitment races, stuff like that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This series that you're watching tonight, the Nazareth Triple M Pulling Truck Series, this is where it all got started. Stephen Light, winner of stage number 1. We'll take a quick break and we will grab him and get you ready for stage number 2. This is Nazareth and the trucks at Pocono. We're back with more on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network.
I'm good with either. I pushed hard that run just because I wanted to know what it's gonna be like in stage 3 to know what I need to do. You know what I mean?
Well, I thought we were going to go to commercial. Anyhow, I think we're hearing some of the audio with Stephen Light.
So,
Hunter, I think
Zach,
you got the stage 1 winner, Stephen Light, in the 97 truck. I think he's also talking to a spotter.
That if I save enough tire,
we'll get him out of here back to his team before he gives away his team
I can go.
Not sure if he still thought he was in his channel with his teammates, but we'll let him get back as they're doubled up, getting ready for the start of stage 2 here. He is going to be your race leader with Keith Bradley to his outside. Robbie Richards still sitting in that 3rd spot. Stephen Thomas, I do believe he finished towards the 7th or 8th place in that stage. So he made quite some time here on pit road. As they are working down the short straight, racked and stacked, ready to rock. Another 20 laps here in stage 2 before we hit that final 3rd stage. Now we kind of got everyone figured out, situated what they need to do, as we kind of heard it on Steven's little chat with his teammates there. Now we kind of know what to expect in the 2nd stage. Now you might see some drivers push a little bit harder to try and get up front. As they come out of turn 3, pace car is going to dive behind pit wall. Barney is waving the green. Start of stage number 2. He's going to see Stephen Light get the nice early jump, heading down that long straightaway. Trying to stay a little bit lower as we go off into turn 1. 2 wide, multiple rows back. Stephen Light going to jump up in front of that 29. Get back down to the bottom on that yellow. As he's going to see behind him the 48 of Robbie Richards going to be going side to side with that 29, but Bradley will inch back out in front of him. Stephen Thomas got a nice little jump to that pit stop up to that 4th spot, but Adam Newbert right now looking to overtake that top 4 as they're heading off through the tunnel turn. A little bit of contact in the back, 3 wide. Not something you want to see happen here through that tunnel turn. Funnels up really quick as we're going to sort it back out. The field is going to start to split apart as we come to the completion of lap 25. Stephen Light still going to be your hard, strong leader. Off through turns 1 down the Long Pond straightaway. All eyes on that 97. Still trying to hold out strong. We're going to have some cars starting to battle back there in that 10th position. Nathan Mowrer in that 971. As we mentioned, on kind of a hot streak as of late. Trying to hold off that 21 of Trey Pitts. 81 Peacock still looking in as they're going to go side by side through that ever so treacherous tunnel turn down into that short straight. Right there, you're looking at the 4 of Adam Newbert. Kind of been on a little bit of a break, but here he is back tonight at Pocono, trying to put in a solid top 5 run. Right now, Robbie Richards right tight to that bumper, that 29 of Keith Bradley, as they head off down into turn 1. Stephen Light still trying to open up that gap to about a 2nd lead. Field starting to single back out, spread out throughout. Not much changing throughout the order of this one. Zach Hartwick, still your hard charger though right now, from that 31 up to that 17. Robbie Richards trying to do all that he can in that 48. Jacob Klinkart there in that 5, taking a little bit of pressure from behind him in that 87 of Keith Haney.
I'm here if you need some help, buddy.
We got Michael McKinnon joining us right now in the booth. Wesley having a little bit of technical difficulties. Pleasure to have you, Michael. Haven't had the chance to announce with you lately.
No, I think this will be our first time, but I'll do what I can to help you out here. I got to get my couple little things said. I just got the message from Wesley there, and I want to jump in and give you some help.
For sure. And typically you're one to race on Friday nights. How come you're not out there tonight, buddy?
I'm out in the big truck tonight, man. I couldn't make it in. Seeing a good race right here, seeing Stephen Light show everybody while he was a real-life racer. Ran for RCR a little bit. Xfinity driver. He's showing them up a little bit tonight. I think they're going to have to figure out what he's doing and try to mimic it a little bit.
For sure.
Yes, we got a caution.
Yeah. Some good info there. I didn't know that about Stephen.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm right or wrong. I believe he might have been the Xfinity Rookie of the Year one year. So he's raced at a very high level in his life. And we'll see what happened with the caution here and get back to the race action. Can't quite tell there exactly what went on.
I'm going to guess it has something to do with the 43 of Blake Lothian. Currently riding way back in that 34th position. Not quite sure what happened there, as he was running up towards the top 5. They're going to come 3 wide down into turn 3. Raul Mezin at 37 gets into that grass, and Hagen, I believe it's just a big force and net code there. Got that 37 all sorts out of whack. Not
Was that
sure.
Bullock that came in after that?
I believe it was Bullock in that 17 machine, just having nowhere to go. Couldn't check up just enough for that 37. We're riding right now with that 17 of Brandon Bullock. As you're getting a shot. Got a little bit of netcode even there from Johnny Lawrence in that 77.
Yeah, it looked like the 77 truck, and it just kind of threw Bullock up into the mess as he was getting on the binders. That's a shame for Brandon. He's a former winner here. Always runs strong here. He always bides his time. That's unfortunate for Brandon.
Yeah, that's just a bad case of netcode gone wrong from all sorts of different angles.
Yeah, we go, 3 wide and the tunnel turns a little tight as is, but as soon as somebody makes a little mistake there, you can get into it big time quickly right there.
As you see, Lawrence didn't really make any contact, just tried to give Bullock as much room as possible, as that's going to bring out your first caution of this Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200 here at Pocono. You're getting a great shot there inside the cockpit view, and it just sent him, as you mentioned. Yeah, just nothing, unfortunately, neither of those drivers could do. Unfortunate for Raul, suffered a little bit more damage out of that one than he initially had.
Yeah, that was a big hit. I'm interested here. What do you think, Hunter? Since, they only got 3 sets of changes, and they've already used one. I was going to say maybe we could set up for some strategy. Somebody trying to get some points here, stage 2, but I'm going to assume everybody will just stay out and use what they have right now, right?
For sure. You don't want to take that set too early, as we still have 11 laps to go right now in this stage. It'll be about 9 or 10 by the time we get back to green. That's still quite a bit of laps to run on the set of tires and then make it last until they have to pit. I'm gonna guess somewhere around 7, probably lap 50 to 60, somewhere in there for that last stage to pit. So I wouldn't see a lot of drivers come down now, unless I did see that 9 of Blanchard come down pit row and some of those other guys that they tend to save a set in that first stage and then take a set later on that second stage. So could be a very big possibility to try and get some up front and get some stage points.
Well, we know how exceptional new tires are here. I mean, they're worth about a second by the end of the run, so could be some way to try to flip a little track position before the end of stage 2, and then we're going to have about 43 laps or so in that final stage. So you're definitely going to need fuel and tires during that. So I'm interested to see what Bradley changes here. I just want to see if he changes anything to try to keep up with Steven a little better.
Yeah, and I mentioned early on in the broadcast, fuel window going to be looking about 28 to 30 laps, so that'll put you right around that 50 to 60 mark or so. And to touch on that Bradley situation, you almost don't want to show your hands too early. If you're confident in what you have, but you're still solidly running in that second or third position, you don't want to almost show what you have too early on and almost give that upper hand and show what you may have compared to that 97 who's been up front since the drop of this green.
Yeah, and he's, you know, we know Bradley, we feel bad today. He's kind of walking wounded. He's got COVID pretty bad. It's kept him home most of the week. I'm surprised he didn't even know if he would be in the race. So kudos to him for toughing it out and putting a great run on so far.
Yeah, COVID surely not slowing him down any bit as they are doubled up, getting ready to go back to green. Gonna have 9 laps in the stage when they take the green before we end stage 2 here.
Yeah, this will get interesting because I noticed the strength of Adam Newbert at the end of stage 1. So let's see if he's been able to, you know, keep the tires under him and see if he's got something for these guys.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, some of those guys came down pit road, possibly taking his set. 9 laps is certainly plenty of time to do it, to get back to that front, just with how big of a difference those tires make.
Yeah, you have about 7 laps after the, you know, the pressures come up and they feel good. You'd have about 7 laps to really make some hay here. So we'll see what happens in the back of the field with these guys that take some tires.
For sure, but certainly don't want to put yourself into a position to harm your rest of your race, as the pace truck is going to get ready to dive back down to the behind pit wall. Stephen Light, Keith Bradley, they are going green. Barney is waving it. Stephen Light going to get a really good jump again. He's really got those restarts down pat, as he's going to dive down into turn 1. Bradley's still going to try and hold strong.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like this. I don't know if I like the strategy of diving right out of the draft there, Hunter. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there.
No, you're good.
Lets the outside lane get a big run right back to him. Unless he just feels he's so strong, he can just pull away, which he is showing at the moment. But these guys can stay hooked together back here. They won't let him get too far out there.
Yeah, I got to say, Hunter, I agree with what Michael just said. I stepped away, everybody. Apologies, having some technical issues, but I think we're back up and good here now. But no, I agree with what Michael just said. Literally, getting that big of a lead away from everybody, it's just not going to work, because obviously you're going to see here he's about to be swallowed up by the rest of the pack when they work their way down the straightaway.
For sure, and as you guys mentioned, you don't want to break away from that pack. But you certainly don't want to be that first car on the bottom, as you will, as you're going to have to give up that momentum run to that car on the outside. So he is doing a really good job trying to stay out in front of that 29, because he knows that that 29 can get to his outside into turn 1. He's going to end up possibly even giving away that position or more to the rest of the field.
Now, what I'm seeing here, these guys are going for points right now. They don't care about catching Steven. They're battling for position, and all the while that's going to let Light and Bradley get away. So we'll see if Keith's got anything for him here by the end of the stage. He was slowly reeling him in at the end of stage 1.
And you know, Michael, what you just said, you think about it, we've got, what, less than 7 laps to go here in stage number 2. So, yeah, I mean, you're literally setting yourselves up to try to find the top 10 to decide your stage points. And if you got a chance to pass some more trucks before the end of the stage, you're going to go for it, because the more points you accumulate for the trucks you pass, especially before lap 41.
Yeah, I mean, that's 100% right, Wesley. Everything's points. That's what we do all year long. I'm missing out on the points tonight. Thank God we'll have a drop race so I can eliminate this one for myself. But all these guys, these restarts are always crazy, and we know that. And we're seeing Newbert made his way all the way up to 3rd. We got Lumpkin coming into the picture. These guys are all setting up for points right now.
Yeah, and to kind of touch on that whole point situation, you could have 2 really good stages, but that final stage you could have a little bit of misfortune, finish. You could win the first 2 stages, get 20 extra points, but at the end of the stage 3 where you finish, you could finish 20th with having a bad wreck. But those 20 extra points certainly add up a lot. Last night while we were at Coda in that over-the-top Xfinity Series, Brett Tucker had some good points going into those first 2 stages, got taken out in that final stage early on, but he accumulated 17 bonus points. I finished 5th. He finished, I believe, 14th, but he still had way more points than I had overall for the night. So stage points a big thing in this league.
By the way, guys, when they come back to the line, it'll be 50 laps to go, 35 laps in to this event here tonight for the Millie's Restaurant and Catering, 212 and a half miles here at Pocono, and we're about to come to the home stretch of a handful of laps remaining in stage number 2. It is like the leader, Bradley, fighting COVID-like symptoms. Okay, that's hashtag fake news. He's got COVID. Him and his wife. Hope he gets to feeling better. And he is still doing a phenomenal job. You know, we mentioned that as right now. Look at this battle going on. You're seeing, and that's what I got to say, Michael. It's amazing where even iRacing and NASRA has even updated their camera angles even since 2020 when NASRA was created, or even when iRacing was started. But we just saw the fender well. We just saw the shocks. We saw the tires. All of that stuff, the toe end, front end, all of that on the trucks. And I think that's awesome to be able to show you how those virtual springs and shocks and everything are working on these trucks.
Yeah, these guys at the 360 Racing Network here, they're putting in a ton of time. They're learning these new shots. We've got the drone cams, the cockpit cams, bringing everything we could possibly bring to the public, and along with some great racing, of course. So that's what we've been trying to accomplish for the last couple of years, and we're starting to slowly but surely get a handle on it.
For sure, and as all this is going on, they're going to have 4 laps in this stage. That 97 still out front, holding strong, but Keith Bradley's starting to reel him in a little bit. Just under a half-second gap right now as Bradley is ever so quietly hunting down that 97 at BP for Autism ride.
Yeah, it looks like a game of cat and mouse right now, as you said, Hunter. I mean, if you just saw a moment ago from the drone shot, you could see the 29 of Keith Bradley just trying to go inside, go outside, slithering, snaking his way around Pocono here at the Tricky Triangle. And he's doing that, Michael, because he's trying to cut off his draft. He's trying to cut off his line on the racetrack and use it for his benefit to run down Stephen Light to try to make something happen here as they work off turn 3.
Well, that's 100%. You want the draft on this straight, but in the corners, you want some clean air on the nose. So he's doing a good job of trying to keep some draft and then get the clean air on the nose to make the turns. I don't exactly know the line Steven's taking compared to Keith, because I would have bet on Keith before this race started. So we're seeing him change a little. We're seeing him change a little bit right now, looping a little more 1 and 2. I think he needs to be a little less shallow in the tunnel. Maybe give Steven a run for his money here in a little bit.
For sure, and right now I'm looking back at that third place battle. You got the 4 Newbert, the 18 of Lumpkin, and the 48 of Robbie Richards. For a while they were going side by side. Right now they're singled out, but Lumpkin right now, he's picking up some pace here at the end of this stage.
Yeah, he certainly is. What a strong run he's got right now going for him. That's Justin Lumpkin, and you know, he's another one of those drivers, Hunter, that we saw in the truck race at Daytona last week, where he won one of the stages and then got to the end, and then all hell broke loose, and he got part of the big one that happened there. And you know, of course, when it's said and done, Nate Mowrer. Now, even though he won Mondays, or he won last Friday night at Daytona, Michael, the over-the-top designs truck series, he was trying to go for 3 or 4 wins in a row, and finally Robert Richards shut the door on him and prevented that from happening. But even Nate Mowrer was trying to make something happen in that race.
Yeah, he's been strong in every race, Wesley, and the difference is here. Okay, both these have I rating caps. Okay, that's fine. The new one has a little bit lower rating cap than this, but the difference here is all these guys basically have been racing together for about 3 years. Almost none of us do officials. This is much more of a professional league. So we'll see how he, which is what he wanted. He told me that. He wanted stiff competition, and he was happy to do it. So we'll see how he turns out here at the end, but he's doing great right now.
Nate Mowrer from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. From Lancaster, Pennsylvania. You know, there's a Lancaster, South Carolina, and it's spelled just like that. But in the South, they call it Lancaster, South Carolina, home of Lancaster Speedway. But it's Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Lancaster, New York, Hunter, up in the Northeast where you're at in the Midwest in Cheesehead country.
Oh, yeah. Gotta love us our Cheeseheads. Gold pack. As white flag is out in this stage. Stephen Light going through the tunnel turn one more time. go off into the turn 3. He's going to pick up another stage win, bank a little bit more money in his pocket, 10 more bonus points. Certainly a good showing for that 97. Led every lap up to this one. Someone else out there has got to try and see if they can do anything different, maybe pick up some extra speed somewhere. But right now, that 97, 2 for 2 on stage wins. Very good job by him and his team.
So Stephen Light will sweep stage number 1 and 2. Keith Bradley second. Adam Newbert his Toyota, along with Toyota of Justin Lumpkin third and fourth. Chevrolet Robert Richards, the Homestead winner Monday night, top 5, followed by Taylor Peacock, Stephen Thomas, Jacob Klinkhart, Nate Mowrer, Trey Pitts, the way that they are at the conclusion of stage number 2, Michael McKinnon. And here's something to think about. Remember, at the end of stage 1, everybody came down to the pit lane. Stephen Light entered first. He exited first. And I got a feeling we're going to see the same strategy take place here again.
Oh, 100%. And Wesley, you're much more of the historian to me. I was telling Hunter before. Am I wrong when I say Stephen Light ran for RCR in the Xfinity Series?
Yes.
Did he not have a short-lived term in the Xfinity Series?
Yes,
Yeah,
Stephen Light did compete in NASCAR. He had a short run in NASCAR competition. Hands down. I don't like saying the word short run, but yes, Stephen Light is a former NASCAR competitor. So yeah, but give credit where credit is due, and definitely good to see the real racers being able to come out here and being able to do what they're doing here on the sim for sure.
For sure. To kind of touch on that, on Thursday nights, well, just to say, NASRA has definitely gotten a lot of big names that have came into here. I believe I saw Jerry Nadeau sign up for one of the leagues, Michael, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But Thursday nights in the Xfinity Series, we have Chase Cabre, Joey Savacci, Zach Osborne, a couple of Supercross racers for those who at home who don't know. So definitely gaining a lot of popularity, a lot of name out there, and bringing in some big drivers.
Well, it's Chase Cabre, and Chase Cabre is from Tampa, Florida. He is the boyfriend of Haley Diggin, by the way, who runs in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And to give you more information on who Stephen Light is, he is from Asheville, North Carolina, and he is a former racer in the ARCA Menard Series, and he has competed in the past in the NASCAR Xfinity Series and the NASCAR Craftsman, what used to be known as the Camping World Truck Series, in the car number 31 Toyota Camry. So yeah, there you go. A little more information on some of the drivers that are racing, the NASRA drivers, as Michael, you hit it perfectly. And here comes everybody on pit road like I figured.
Yeah, it's feeding time on pit road. And one more name to mention in here that ran last year in the truck series. He's looking for a few more rides this year, and that's Blake Lothian. He ran for Thad Moffitt. He ran for Thad Moffitt last year, 4 races. Still trying to make his way in the series. If anybody wants to step up and be a sponsor, you might want to be able to contact that team. So
a little
these names are big and better.
Little trivia question: if Adam or you or Hunter or Michael know it, as we see the cavalry roaring off pit road, who's going to be out first? Looks like it is going to be Stephen Light again, 2 times in a row. Stage 1, Stage 2 winner, entering the pits, exiting the pits first. And by the way, speaking of Thad Moffitt, trivia question for anybody here in the box on our Nazareth coverage. He is the grandson of who?
Richard Petty.
Aha, there you go. Got it.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. I just didn't say it first,
Yeah, Blake had some bad luck. He ran IRP, broke a drive shaft. He ran Martinsville, and the fans for the brakes wouldn't work. He had some bad luck, so he's looking for a little bigger and better things right now. I know that, but he's got his Texas Law book. He's got a few other sponsors. He's always open for it. If you look up Blake Lothian online, if you guys want to help him out, I'm sure he'd appreciate it.
I just think it's really, really cool that you've got real race car drivers competing with drivers in the sim, no doubt. And by the way, I know we're less than a week away from the Clash at the Coliseum. of course, at the Los Angeles Coliseum Arena in California. And I will also tell you, in addition to that, that the Daytona 500 is less than 20 some odd days away for NASCAR. These drivers are in the sim. The real NASCAR competitors, they're in the sim. They are literally testing. They are literally going through R&D, and the best way of doing it is to get on iRacing to figure the handling, the cars, the tracks, if they're new. I've been hearing and seeing on social media from so many teams, Hunter and Michael, that they are literally on iRacing on the sim testing. I know the other night Christopher Bell was on iRacing testing. I'm understanding Chad Knaus was doing some testing, obviously for Hendrick. So was some other drivers. So yeah, it's really, really cool to see these guys like Stephen Light, Lothian, and others taking advantage of this as we get ready for our final stage. And I would say that you welcome them proudly, Michael, and Brady LaBeouf does to the world of family in Nazareth.
Oh, 100%. And, you know, he's spoken about a couple other people. We heard about someone else today that ran the Xfinity Series last year, maybe coming in. So hopefully it's, you know, bigger and better things. And we welcome all competitors. We've got a series, and we think we've got drivers that can compete with anybody's talent level all through the series.
Hunter,
well, okay,
Hunter, we're getting ready for stage number 3, but have you got an update of what happened to Keith Bradley? Chatbox is going bonkers asking what's going on with Keith Bradley. He has fell all the way back to almost his starting position in the 9th spot.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened back with that 29 machine. Not sure if he got a little bit of damage from the wall or something like that we may have missed that he wanted to take, or some drivers took 2 tires. Not quite sure, but we see Newbert jump up a spot or 2, Peacock, even Nathan Mowrer jumped up a few spots. So not sure what happened with that 29 machine, but I'm sure we'll find out sooner than later. But he will be on a mission, I'm sure, to get back up to the front.
Yeah, we'll certainly try to find out, John H., what the word is on Bradley's truck. Nonetheless, the field comes steaming down to the start-finish line, 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, like Noah leading the virtual animals to the ark into turn number 1. And we are ready to go now. Michael McKinnon, stage number 3. This is the run for the money, and the Cavalry looks at Light going to turn 1 as the leader.
Yeah, and I was just getting ready to say he's gonna have a little something different going on with the teammates, but Lumpkin happened to push up a little bit, go a little too high right there, as him and Newbert are teammates, along with Lothian and I can't remember, Stephen Thomas. So I was wanting to see how they would maybe get together, get organized, make sure Stephen doesn't run away before pit stops or a caution.
For sure.
Underway now, stage number 3, closing in on 40 laps to go, Hunter, and all the while it's again Stephen Light. And by the way, another statistic, he was the 2012 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Rookie of the Year. I need to get some more clarification on that just to make sure that that is accurate, but somebody in the chat box is also saying he was a Cup Series Rookie of the Year. And we got a caution. Yellow flag is out. Problems.
Yeah, let's see if we can find it. These low tire pressures do happen here once in a while, or aggression. Let's see which one we got.
On the pole, restart, instant replay, looking here, and we'll find out what happened. Oh, I see some smoke in the back. It was in the back there.
Yep, well in the back. Looked like somebody might have just lost it coming off a 3, which is very, very simple on the low pressures. It's loose coming out. Don't know if we had a camera angle for it or not there. We'll have to see what we can find.
Race control as well having a little bit of issue finding what the caution was. So not quite sure. Haven't seen anyone disconnect or anything crazy like that. So we'll try and see if we can find something for you guys at home. But I also want to go back while we have a little break with the caution. You guys talked about those drivers testing for the Coliseum.
Oh, yeah.
For any race, really. And I'm not sure if you know Wes or Mike, but I run a dirt modified. So I'm more of a dirt guy than an asphalt guy, even though I run all these asphalt leagues. But I will honestly say, even though the dirt aspect of iRacing isn't exactly as what it would be in real life for handling wise, as we're looking right now at the replay, this looks not quite sure what the caution is for. I see a lot of contact, but nothing really.
Yeah, the white car there. Now, the white car there at the back just looked like it got real loose. I couldn't quite tell who it was, and the yellow came out inadvertently, I believe. He was able to catch the car, so he ought to be able to continue on.
And by the way, guys, I will let you know that I just went to my NASCAR Insider at TobyChristie.com, and it is correct that Stephen Light was the 2012 NASCAR Cup Series Rookie of the Year. He was the runner-up, or Josh Wise was the runner-up to Stephen Light. That's another name that was very popular back in the day in the sport. Yep.
Yeah, that's the man they all go to for the workouts now, I think, is what he does. He trains a lot of the drivers now.
And by the way, Elton Sawyer just announced as the new competition director of NASCAR, and that's another driver that used to race back in the day, too, Elton Sawyer.
Well, and Hunter brought up Jerry Nadeau. Yes, Jerry Nadeau has signed up for a few. He did run with us at Rockingham last year. Got caught up in a wreck. All of us got caught into a big one in turn 1 about lap 50. He was collected in that, but hopefully we'll see him back out here. I know he started his own esports team, so we're trying to get him over here and have a little fun.
Yeah, I believe I was a part of that wreck at Rockingham, unfortunately.
I think the
was
last I was told was Derek Fulton was working with, I believe, Jerry Nadeau and doing Nadeau Esports. So, yeah, they're pretty excited about that. Maybe we can get both of those guys to come on here and jump around and race whenever they can, for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to see Derek in the Cup Series. We know his skill and talent. He's one of the better ones on the service. So hopefully we can see Derek here before too long, along with Jerry.
I think the plan is, guys, because, I did a race for him back during the last year during the Halloween, the spooktacular race that he does. And he told me his plan was he was going to try to run the NASCAR Coca-Cola series. But to do that, you got to run Road to Pro. And I think he's going to be running Road to Pro first. So, yeah.
Yeah, I knew he had got the surgery and was feeling better. I'm sorry, Hunter. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah, that Road to Pro is definitely a tough, long task ahead. It's not like the Dirt Series where you run 12 weeks and then lock in off of points. The Road to Pro, for those who don't know, you have to go through the truck progression. You have to run, I'm not sure how many weeks it is. I believe it's 8 or 9 weeks, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Gotcha.
Then it's only the top so many in points from that. They continue on to the Xfinity, and you have to do it all over again. You have to be the top 20 or 15 or something like that after your Xfinity points, and then you're in the eNASCAR series. So it's a very long, grueling, almost year or so, a year and a half process just to do that.
So I'm understanding, Michael and Hunter, looking at communication and chat, that something happened to Keith Bradley where he has overshot his pit box. So there was probably a penalty issued from iRacing for that for Keith Bradley. That's coming from Wade. Obviously, yes, Eric Zimmerman, Stephen Light races for BP, Racing for Autism. You're exactly right. And also, speaking of Nadeau Esports, as we were just mentioning during the caution flag, Eric Zimmerman and Derek Fulton are working on the Nadeau Esports program. So, Raw Meza, Surf Pro truck, not racing tonight, Michael and Hunter. Remember, he was one of the trucks that got caught up in the big wreck the other week at Daytona, snacking and enjoying the broadcast while I wait for my new engine swap.
Well,
yeah, he got caught in the tunnels during there a while ago.
Yeah, well, you were having your technical difficulties. We had a big pile up in turn 3, and unfortunately for Raul, he's
on the damage clock, right? He's on the damage clock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's going to have a lot of damage for sure. He got into the grass a little bit, kind of came back up. Net code sent him and another truck around. Bullet came in, had net code. It was just a very bad, unfortunate deal for a lot of drivers. So hopefully Raul made it out of the emergency room just fine, and he can get back and root on his teammates here at the end of this one.
There you go. Raul there.
These crews are pretty quick. It's usually about 28 minutes. They'll put you in the garage, put a new engine in it, put some new tires on it, and send you back out to collect many points as you can. So hopefully you get back out there soon, Raul.
By the way, Bubba, Brady LaBeouf says you are the voice of an angel.
I try my best. He's a very hard dad to please, I promise you that. So hopefully he's okay tonight. He's typically out here racing. I'm not quite sure where he's at tonight.
He's a busy man these days.
Well, we'll definitely get ready to settle him in for the restart. Michael, I enjoyed working with you Thursday night in the Over the Top Designs Xfinity Series. Hunter said, and I quote before we get ready for the restart, I hated Coda, Wesley. I hated it. I didn't like it. I know I got a top 5, but I hated that place.
I told you he was not happy about having to race there just from the chat group, but great job. You must have put in a lot of practice.
I think I had about 5 hours on Sunday, but that only acquired of 10 complete laps. So very frustrating. So just to be able to survive. Oh no, no, no,
Oh,
no!
no trouble. That's Richards,
Looked
Robert
like-
Richards. We got truck airborne.
Bradley.
Bradley airborne.
Oh, I
More
think-
trucks have scattered on the front straightaway, and we just
Oh.
had the big one on the restart here at Pocono.
Yeah, I don't know if Newbert missed a shift or what happened. His truck took off great, and then it just stalled out like he
Or if
missed a
he-
shift and he just got ran over.
A
Or if
big
he was
wreck on the
constantly in third
restart.
gear.
A big wreck on the restart. And my goodness, the tricky triangle has just become a virtual version of the Twilight Zone.
Oh, Michael, if I didn't know any better, I thought I was out there.
Yeah, right. That was crazy. Watch Newbert take off here from the lead. It looks like he misses a shift. I don't know if something broke, but his truck just stopped. And
And not sure if he
Peacock
even
tagged him.
started in third gear, possibly, not knowing, just riding around in third gear, forget to downshift into second. Even down or starting in second after some old tires can certainly be tricky to get going again.
Yeah, that's very odd. Either he missed a shift or something glitched in the simulator. I mean, this is the virtual world, but if we can get another shot of him on the restart, you just see that almost stop.
Yeah, it's got to make you think something happened. That's certainly not something to happen of that Ford machine in Newbert. Very good driver, just unfortunate. A lot of damaged trucks in that. That's definitely going to shake up the order through this one. You're riding on
Yeah.
board right now with Cody Knott. Just nowhere to go. Just an absolute parking lot when you're 2x2, can't see in front of you, and you're coming to a green.
And this is on board with Adam Newbert from Toccoa, Georgia. Wow, I'll be down in those neck of the woods on Monday. And Bradley's truck flying through the air, mind you, airborne, the 29. Michael, you just hinted on it. I don't think Newbert got in gear. I think he missed a shift, and he couldn't get up to speed. And then all of a sudden, I think he tagged the wall, and then everyone else. Well, actually, he didn't tag the wall. The back truck tagged him, and then it just made everybody get on the binders to miss him. Let's see from this view. Robert Richards on board with him. Look at this. He could have got away from it.
It looks like he
Yeah, I
got
don't know
off
how he
just
got.
fine. It snubbed the front end down.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Everyone-
He
yeah.
had to miss a shift there. That's the only thing I can say. He had to miss a shift.
We got
And
a
it
little-
is official. They are saying Adam Newbert in his Toyota number 4 missed a gear. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. And look at it. He tags the left or the right rear of the 48 truck. Bradley goes flying through the air. Richards gets slammed into by Newbert again, or vice versa. And, yeah, there you see the end result. This is on board with Dustin Castile. He's in the back of the 44. Watch this.
Wow.
You know, it's like the quote from the movie Days of Thunder, Michael McKinnon. You know, cars are spinning across the track. The rule is you go straight forward. You never take your foot off the gas. But sadly, he should have been gone by the time you got there, but he wasn't.
Yeah,
minute you
over and
take your
over
foot off-
again in that one.
The
Whoa.
minute you take your foot off the gas, there's when you get ran over from behind. So, like you said, at that point, you see chaos and you're in the middle of it. You just gotta go.
And of course, the only person smiling out of that is Stephen Light. He gets away clean. He's been the best truck all night. That'll bring Clean Card into the conversation now. We know Jacob's strong. So we'll see what these the new competitors can bring to the show right here. That was just unfortunate for about, the top
Everyone.
12?
Almost everyone.
Unbelievable.
Entire lineup right now is shaking around. Almost everyone's got to ensue some damage from that one. So, I hate to take a pick this early on, but right now, I just don't think anyone's going to be touching that 97 at all.
You're
I
going to
don't think
quickly
so
just
either.
go to the number 1 seed and pick Stephen Light to win? Come on, Hunter.
Oh, I mean, he's only led 52 laps.
That's right.
I don't want to say heavy hitters because everyone here is very highly competitive, but he's been up front the entire race. He's just been that guy tonight, and I just don't see anything
Sure.
changing here.
Well, I will say this, though, Michael and Hunter. We're closing in on, 30-some-odd laps to go here. And with that being said, if we get another caution or so, in that window, I'm thinking we're going to see somebody come back to the pits. They might be able to race to the finish, or if we get this green flag run to the finish of the race and we don't get another caution, we're going to see green flag pit stops to determine the winner. They're not going to be able to go the distance right now.
For sure, we are.
Yeah, I'm not sure. My 33 laps. Okay, that's what I was going to ask, because I would be in topping off at the end of these pace laps if we were inside 30s. But I don't know if 33 can be done. If it could be, I'd be topping off now and try to take it.
No, I was talking with some drivers earlier on before this race started, and they're saying their fuel window is about 28 to 30. So definitely going to be seeing a green flag stop if we don't get another caution here. But a lot of these drivers, well, Steven for sure is one of those drivers that stayed out. He didn't take tires or fuel, but even drivers who did take fuel during this last pit stop, they're still going to need to pit one more time. So I think Steven's doing the right thing right now. He thinks there's probably going to be another caution. Try and get a few laps in, and then pit, and then be good to the end from there on out.
Well, let's settle in the top 10 for you as we get ready for a restart. The lights are off for the pace truck, and Steven Light looks like he wants to try to be a pace vehicle, hanging right there alongside the pace truck, if you will. He better back away there. I think it might be a penalty called. Steven Light is the leader. Jacob Klinkhardt second. Looks like Dan Hagan has now moved up to third, followed by Ron Hunter. Solid good night for him. Nate Mowrer, winner last week at Daytona, the top 5. Abbott, followed by Hale Shepard, Lumpkin. All these other drivers. Cinnamon from Canada in the top 10. Green flag back out. Here we go. Ready to go at it again as we approach 31 laps to go, and they're back to turn 1. Much better restart, Michael, from the front row as well.
Yeah, much better that time. That was something I don't think in the 5 seasons we've done this that I have seen. I've seen tires spin, but I've never seen anybody miss a shift. So, unfortunate. Now, like we said, well, let's see if anybody's got anything for Steven Light at this point.
Yeah, and right now I'm looking at Dan Hagan. Wes, early on, you were having a little bit of issues with your computer, but he was caught up in that wreck with Raul. I believe he was the one that neck coated with Raul. A little bit of contact there, as you can see that left side. A little bit of damage, but cycles back up to second after all of that. So very good little bit of a bounce back from that 39 machine as you're riding on board right now with him, trying to track down that 97 of Steven Light down that front stretch into the turn 1.
On board with Dan Hagan right now from the front view, now the rear view, and you see, wow, how much chaos and slicing and dicing is going on behind him. Those trucks, Michael McKinnon, they are trying to get to the front, and they are trying to get there in a hurry.
Yeah, and a few of them have damage, so they need to get in line, get in a draft, and try to run these leaders down. Because I'm saying some of them have a little bit of damage, not going to be able to pull the group through. So they need to find the leader and have them pull them through.
You're looking right now at Nate Mowrer, last week's winner at Daytona. A little bit of SpongeBob action with some Buzz Lightyear going on in there. Definitely one of my favorite things I think I've seen in a while.
That's one of the best ones I've ever seen right there. It looks like a bald-headed SpongeBob.
I'll tell you right now, Michael, on Thursday, if you're announcing again the Over the Top Xfinity Series, you're definitely going to want to take a look at my driver's suit. I think that is going to be one to see. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but it's a true piece of work.
Can't wait.
All I have to say is to infinity and beyond.
Yeah, 100%.
Look at Hunter's truck, number 30, Ron Hunter. Down to the inside, driving by Hells, trying to get around Klinkhardt. Put his truck now up into a solid place in the top 10. And I'll tell you, that's one of those drivers, Michael, that I've known for the last couple of years, and iRacing and the broadcasts that I've done. Used to compete in the Northwest Racing Series. He also used to run some NASRA events. Here's the deal. The Hunter's Performance Chevrolet truck for One Fine Studios used to struggle. He used to get caught up in accidents, crashes, and we got a caution, by the way. Caution is out again here. Under 30 laps to go in stage number 3 here at Pocono. But as I was going to say, as we track down the on the pole instant replay to find what the caution was for, Michael, he's one of those drivers that have just improved in that Chevrolet number 30, and we're seeing how right now. Solid top 10 for him in 6th.
I'll be honest, Ron is a newcomer to me. I haven't got to race with him much. Got to race at Daytona. Of course, everybody got caught up in a mayhem there, but it's good to see these newcomers. Bill Hales, Ron Hunter, all these new guys doing well. Nate Mowrer. I love it. That's what makes us, to me, it's what makes this a great league, because competition, then you find new guys, better competition. It's always a pleasure to run with new guys that are safe, clean, and good drivers.
For sure. And I kind of mentioned it earlier. I ran in the Friday Truck Series last winter. I'm certainly missing it right now. I kind of miss running with some of these guys on Friday nights. It's a full field, a lot of talent. As you're watching right now, that replay, trying to find that wreck. I believe it was the 20 of Jose Luis Rivera calling out on the radio channel that he is at fault for that one. So we'll get you on the pole replay here of that 20 machine. As we see a little bit of smoke through that tunnel turn. Not quite sure who he made contact with.
Yeah, I believe that was Jose. He caused the wreck right there. Little dive bomb, and yeah, that was not a good situation.
So another look at it on the replay, and as I mentioned, by the way, Michael, here comes trucks coming down to the pit lane. Are you thinking money stop here now? Are you thinking money stop? These guys are going to try to go to the distance.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, they're either going to count on one more caution, or they just feel they can make it. And we're going to see Nathan Mowrer. He's going to stay out, save a set of tires. I kind of like this move. We're starting to see a few cautions we usually don't here. We're starting to see them. Maybe save that last set for maybe a 15-lap run later. Of course, you get bit real quickly if you don't get it. But if we do get another caution, these guys might be in a catbird seat.
Yeah,
put themselves in that catbird seat, if you will, especially in the late rally, Hunter. No doubt about it.
Yeah, a little bit of strategy going on right now. We saw Stephen Light. He dived down. Nathan Mowrer, I believe he even pit to take some of that damage after that last big wreck. So, but maybe save that set of tires, as Michael talked about. Right now, you're kind of hoping you can go, like we said, 7 laps, 8 laps. That's when the tires start to plateau, as you will. So hopefully these guys, some of these guys that stayed out, they're looking for that 10 or 11 lap run and another caution. So then they can pit and get their fresh tires, and then they can go and make a hard charge to the front. Because I do believe Stephen Light will be out of tires. He took a set after that first stage, second stage, and then now. So there's his 3 sets. So right now, Nathan Mowrer trying to play that little bit of strategy. And at this point, you guys, I don't think anyone's going to catch that 97. So you kind of got to do something a little different to try and catch him off guard. Try and put yourself out front.
Yeah, I like the call a lot. I like it. I'm sorry, Wesley. I like the call.
Ahead.
Plus, this is going to be the first time we get to see Steven in traffic. He's been up front all day. He's controlled every restart. Let's see if his truck handles the same way through traffic. It on the new tires should feel pretty good for him, but I'm interested to see what the aerodynamics, if it'll change the handling of his truck.
Now, I got to ask Hunter. Hunter, you want to change your pick now? Are you still going to ride with the 97? What you going to do?
I think I'm still going to ride with the 97. I called it last week. I picked Mowrer to win, but I think I'm still going to stay strong on that 97.
He did call his shot, Michael. He did call his shot. By the way, Michael was doing really, really well, and I think he got caught up in the accident, the big one there in the third stage.
Yeah, I did.
Daytona last week. Yeah.
I would give you my pick, but I can't tell how much damage Painter may have or Cinnamon. Those two, we know. Painter won the last race here. Cinnamon is always a top 5 to a win contender. So a couple real good trucks here. If they don't have damage, you could see them make a move pretty quickly, because I think Mowrer does have a little front end damage.
Yeah, and if we do stay green here, that 97 is Stephen Light. I believe he's still going to be lining up in that 10th position. So certainly not too far back from the race lead if there was to stay green. But he's got to keep in mind he's probably around a couple of trucks that have some damage from that earlier wreck. But definitely going to have to pick and choose when to go now. Try and save a little bit and just be cautious.
Well, we will settle it here and get you ready for the restart. I got a feeling that this is not the end of yellow flag fever. Just saying, pardon the pun. But no doubt about it, Nate Mowrer, winner last week at Daytona. He sits in the #1 spot from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, ready to bring him back to the green. And guys, here's something to think about as we get ready for the restart. Mowrer was caught up in that big accident on the front stretch.
That is
true.
true.
That's what I said. I think he's got a little damage.
Yeah, but I don't think any of it was front end damage. So
Yeah.
any damage is bad damage, of course, but if you can avoid it from that front end, that's just a game changer when it comes down to racing these trucks.
A little lipstick, a little cosmetic damage, if you will. Green flag back in the air. 26 laps to go here at Pocono. And we see if this will go to the finish as Mowrer gets the jump on the Cavalry. Damage or not, he's showing his strengths in that triple-digit truck now, Michael, off of turn number 1.
Yeah, he's got Devin Painter digging right behind, and it looked like Cinnamon made his way up to third. So, nope, not quite up to third. I thought that was Cinnamon, but here comes Painter. This is what I wanted to know. If he doesn't have damage, he's going to have a strong truck. Joey Doucette's truck still looks very good. So we'll see how this shakes out. Little contact. Woo.
Yeah, and early on, Michael, I don't know if you were able to catch it or not early on in that first stage, but Painter drove away from the field with Stephen Light. So Painter definitely a very good contender here. You said he won last season or last year when you guys were here, so definitely one to keep your eyes on towards the end of this one. And Stephen Light already starting to make his way through the field after that last restart, already up to the 7th spot from the 10. Certainly not out of this one by any means with that pit stop.
And 25 to go now. 25 laps remaining. There's the Canadian Cinnamon up on the top shelf there. Working Light on the bottom. What do you think, Michael? Do you start finding out who your friends are, wingman, teammates, and try to draft to the front? And yes, I know we're not at Daytona or Talladega, but this is a big racetrack. You can draft here at Pocono, can't you?
It's 100% a draft track. I don't see a lot of teammates all together here. The Painter and Doucette are teammates, so maybe if they can hook up, we'll see what's going on. But I think right now it's go as hard as you can and get the heck away from everybody if you can. A lot of blocking going on in the back, too.
Who is your friend? Whoa, I thought he was going to get sideways there for just a second behind Hunter. Oh, my goodness, that could have been calamity there, but they hold it together, though. Bubba going to turn number 1.
A little bit of right side romance, left side rubbing, down through turns 1 and 2, Hagan and Hunter. Hunter going to back out just a little bit, give Hagan the spot. Looking right now, Joey Doucette's trying to make something happen. Try and peek that nose inside of Mowrer, heading down into that tunnel turn, down into turn 2. Still looking at that 97 to the inside of Chris Cinnamon. Cinnamon going to give up the spot to that truck with newer tires. Stephen Light on the hunt, trying to get back to the race lead with just 24 laps to go.
Yeah, he's been able to clear traffic really quickly. So if this does go green, I think your pick for him is going to be great. He's been able to work his way really quickly, and he's getting a big run off of 3 every time with those new tires.
Yeah, we should definitely be putting some money on picks each week. I'd be 2 for 2 right now.
Showing his strength big time.
I would say this, guys, and Michael, you were speaking highly about Stephen Thomas last night in that Toyota number 23. He's now the leader. This is the first time tonight besides Stephen Light. Another Stephen is, up there in the front, and he is showing his strengths right now.
Yeah, that is our champion from last year, Stephen Thomas. 2 times in a row, he's been the regular season. No, he wasn't the regular season champion, but he is Season 5 champ. He's a closer. That man he is always there at the end. So you're going to have to bring your A game to beat him. And I'm going to say he probably stayed out as well, kept that other set of tires. Probably feels the same as we did that the cautions weren't over. You see Light clearing Painter and setting sail again. Huge run every time he comes off the corner.
For sure, a lot of these drivers now, they're just hoping and praying for a caution here in a couple of laps. Because right now, Stephen Light going to be that one to beat with those new tires. But all these other guys that didn't pit, they're going to need to pit regardless for fuel. So they're going to hand over that race lead if there is no caution just before Stephen can even get around these guys. So they're definitely going to be looking for that caution, a little bit of luck, and hope and pray for that.
Joey Doucette right to the lead.
Yeah, Michael and Hunter, the chat box is a little lively here as we do have this battle for the lead. Look at Doucette now. That's that purple truck up on the outside in the middle. Here comes Stephen Light, catfishing on the bottom. Looking to get around Painter, looking to pick off Joker. Doucette, excuse me, boys, coming through as we approach 20 to go now, Hunter.
Yeah, and I also mentioned earlier to keep your eyes on, before this race even started, keep your eyes on that 16 machine. He was looking for a little bit of vengeance after the Coliseum and Daytona. And right now, the two cars I kind of almost picked before this one, running 1-2 right now. Is Stephen Light going to look to the outside of Doucette through turns 1 and, well, I want to say turns 1 and 2, but just turn 1. So, but Doucette's going to hold him off for a little bit. As I say that, Stephen Light going to edge it back out in front as they head down into that tunnel turn. Joey Doucette trying to do all that he can to keep pace with that 97 machine.
Yeah, those new tires are showing up right now because we know Joey Doucette, and he is not going to hand the position over. He never will and never has. So
Now,
you see the new tires here. Now it's going to be hard for everyone to keep up.
What's the old cliche, Michael and Hunter? It's one thing to pass somebody, or it's another thing to run them down. It's another thing to pass them or get around them. And I think that's, we're seeing just how strong Stephen Light's truck is, though. I don't think Doucette's got much of a battle.
No, right now he's just doing all that he can to try and stay in front of Devin Painter in that 99. If I'm Joey right now, I'm not going into attack mode. I'm going into defense mode. You got some really fast trucks behind you. You know you're probably not going to catch that 97, so just try and fight and hold on to what you can.
Stay right there. Be patient. Stephen Light, the leader. Joey Doucette is in second spot. Stephen Thomas, the Toyota, is third. Devin Painter, Dane Hagan, top 5. You got 4 Chevrolets in the middle of sandwiched of a Toyota in third. Then you got the Canadian Chris Cinnamon in a Ford, Lothian in a Ford, 6 and 7. And then round out the top 10, a couple of Chevrolets with Mowrer, Shepherd, and Hells. That's the way it stands. As right now, there you see the Wellesley, Massachusetts native of Blake Lothian. And the Wellesley native looking on the inside, coming after Cinnamon for that spot. This is for 6 as they go to under 20 to go, Michael. And again, Lothian starting to show his truck strengths here in the late rally here at Pocono.
Yeah, Blake's always a real strong contender. You see, it looks like he has a little front end damage on the right front right there. That might hurt him on these straights. Didn't seem to that time, so he probably took the tires last time as well. We didn't see it. The tires are making the difference in the aerodynamics right now.
Yeah, he was up front early on in this one, running top 4, top 5. Then had a little bit of misfortune. He was down into almost the 30th position, worked his way back up inside the top 10. So a very good comeback from that 43 of Blake Lothian.
And Wesley, did you ever make a call on who you thought was going to win? And we kind of see it now if there's not a caution.
I'm going to stick to what I said last week at Daytona, like my daddy always told me. The guy that crosses the line first is the winner. No. You know what? I got to tell you, I'm going to ride with Stephen Thomas. I think Stephen Thomas is kind of laying in the weeds, playing possum. There you see the 23 truck right there. The Millie's Restaurant and Catering entry, by the way, the sponsor of this race. By the way, the Next Gen Cup Series will be coming soon on Sunday nights on the NASCAR 360 Racing Network. And the Elkview, West Virginia driver, Stephen Thomas. That's who I'm riding with right now, man. That's my pick.
What about you, Michael?
I hope you're right.
Was this one with
just
under 20?
I thought Painter was going to have a really good shot, but he might just have just enough damage, superficial or not. He's just not being able to get off the corner as well as he wants to right now. And speaking of Millie's, guys, if you got anybody down in the Daytona area, check out Millie's Catering. They're opening a second location, I believe, right there in the Daytona area. One of the best places to eat in all of Daytona, from what I understand. And reservations are encouraged.
Michael, I will tell you this. I will be down in Florida for Speed Weeks very soon, and I am going to make it a point to stop in and visit the people at Millie's Restaurant and Catering for sure. Definitely. I'll be down there in Daytona. I'll leave actually for Florida next week. I'm doing the Freedom Factory event for Cletus McFarland. Everybody knows what kind of a crazy stunt double guy that guy is, and pretty honored to be working that event. But, looking forward to going there. Daytona coming up, Speed Weeks, and yes, that Millie's Restaurant. My mouth just waters with some of the pictures they get posted on social media, on our NASRA posts of some of the food, for sure.
Yeah, I'm 1,200 miles away. Do they like DoorDash or Uber Eats, Michael?
That's my wish.
I don't know if they can Uber one that far or not. You might have to cover the Uber on that. Might be cold too, so Don't
Well,
discard that.
I guess one of you guys will just have to fly me down.
Just put it in
Yeah,
frozen
that
ice. Just order something and tell them to pack it in frozen ice for you. You know, yeah. Or next time Michael's down in Daytona and he makes a trip back up to Green Bay, Wisconsin, just put it in the back of the truck there and put it on ice and he'll deliver it to you. There you go.
No one wants to come to Green Bay because it's so cold unless you're going to a Packer game. So he's not ever going to come up here. Let's just be real right now.
The frozen tundra, as they call it.
I come up there about 5 times a year, usually in April or May. I'm usually up there.
Well, I am wide open in my schedule.
We got 15. We got 15 to go, and I don't mean to get off subject, Michael, but are you still in North Carolina?
I'm in South Carolina. I loaded in Darlington today. I went to Darlington, saw the racetrack, loaded some steel there, and I'm about 50 miles north of Columbia right now.
There you go. Hunter, I didn't mean to cut you off, but Michael was literally last night when we did the NASRA Over the Top Designs Xfinity Series at COTA. This is no lie. He was 15 minutes away from my location where I was in my broadcast booth in Clayton.
That's awesome. I was going to say earlier, when he comes up this way through April, May, like I mentioned earlier, I run a dirt modified, so definitely going to have to get you to come on over on a Saturday or a Friday night.
I'll have to try that out if I get time. And guys, one thing I'm noticing here, Dane Hagen has seemed to save a little tire because he keeps closing in on Thomas. He just can't close the deal on the pass. But these guys are actually being smart right now, trying to stay in line to do what they can on the older tires to try to keep pace with Stephen Light. But it's just every lap's just getting a little farther away in the windshield.
I got a question, guys. Do you think we're going to see an LRC?
I'm not familiar with LRC.
LRC is abbreviated for late race caution. Come on, guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. We would go by GWC for green, white, checkered, but I don't think we're going to see anything. Everyone's pretty spread out. The only way I think you would see a caution here is if you get someone desperate trying to get into a position and make contact.
Michael, he jinxed it. He jinxed it. We're going to get a yellow flag. Watch.
Well, I was going to say
I was going to say we may because this is a long tire run for these guys. And they're going to get real tight. Turn 3 gets a little bit tricky. And we might see someone take a little trip around the rainbow here before the end of this.
Taste the rainbow at Pocono. I love that, Michael. Pardon the pun. We're coming down to under 15 laps to go. Hey, if you're in the chat box, who are you riding with? Hunter and Michael have given their picks. I've given my pick. Who is your pick to win here tonight in the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200 here today at Pocono Raceway? The chat box is active, of course. Adam, you can close that, by the way. I have it in front of me. So, yes, thank you, by the way, for following us. If you're new to the NASRA 360 Racing Network, give them a subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, right, Michael?
100%. Hit subscribe and then go on Facebook, find NASRA-Racing. Give us a like. Like Hunter said earlier, if you're on the service or if you want to get a PC, laptop, and try this, we have a division for you. Mondays. We're working on Wednesday stuff, Thursdays, Fridays, working on Saturdays, Sundays. We're going to have somewhere for everyone to race. So give us a subscribe. You can always find us, message us, and we'll do our best to get right back to you.
I'm trying to remember, Hunter, am I right that there's going to be they're working on an IMSA WeatherTech sports car road course NASRA series. Am I right?
Yeah, and I think Michael would actually be able to give you a little bit more information on that than I would be.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tyler Dittmer's trying to organize this, running the GT cars. Something that everybody would own right off the bat, so everybody can come in. They don't have to buy the car, all the stuff. They're trying to put that together right now. They're discussing doing some races for recruiting or someone that wants to try their skills, and then hopefully we can get that going sooner than later.
Guys, we found out what happened with Adam Newbert in the Toyota number 4 that caused the big wreck on the front straightaway. And he says, and I quote, accidentally shifted to first instead of third. I pulled a Dell Jr.
Oh, my God.
If it's one guy we can make fun of for doing that, it would be Adam Newbert. He's a tough cookie, so we can give him a little bit of crap during the week for that one. But hopefully next week he can kind of do a bounce back race and be back up front.
Well, as we approach
100%.
10 laps to go, Michael and Hunter, here's something we also talk about is look at Stephen Thomas just reeling in on his prey, the purple truck number 16 Chevrolet of Joey Doucette. And here's something to think about as we come to 10 laps to go. Open hands from your flagman. Here's the deal, Michael. The more that Doucette and Thomas battle for the bridesmaid spot, they're letting Hagan run them down for a 3-truck battle for second, but also they're letting Stephen Light pull away. You see the interval right there as they work off turn 1.
For sure.
Yeah, they're yeah, go ahead, Hunter.
One more thing to think about. Some of those guys didn't pit on that last caution. They're going to have to pit before the end of this one for fuel, if I'm correct on the fuel window. We've been going green for a little bit here, well, since their last pit stop. So I'm thinking some of these guys are going to have to take some fuel yet.
Well,
10.
if the window was 30, they pitted with 33 to go. We got some caution laps in there. They may feel like they can make it.
And I'm not going to lie here, there might be a storm brewing right here for this spot between Doucette and Thomas as they work their way off of turn 4, off of turn 3, flashing under the flag stand at 9 laps to go. We're in single digits now, lap number 76 of 212 and a half miles here in the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200, round number 2 of season 6 of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series here at Pocono, Hunter.
I'm not quite sure what happened that last lap, but they closed in about a half second on Stephen Light. Not sure if Stephen got a little tight in the corner and pushed up, but that gap closed down from a 1.7 to a 1.1. So definitely going to be something to keep your eye on.
Yeah, they had it down to a second flat till they got to turn 1, and that's where the tire difference is showing up. He's able to get through the corners a little better, but if they can stay in a tight draft, which I think they're doing the best they can to just drive around as hard as they can and stay locked up, that'll be their best bet to try to make it to the end. And, of course, this is helping Thomas save fuel. He knows that.
And all the while, Stephen Light is the man that is still running away with the interval now. 1.30 seconds between Doucette and Thomas. That Chevrolet of Thomas now clears Doucette, though. Put him to the number 2 spot. As now Thomas, does he got enough time, Hunter, to run down Stephen Light? The Stephen and Stephen show here at the Triangle with under 8 to go.
It's going to be tough with 8 laps to go, 7.5 almost. Yeah, just over a second, just under a second and a half a gap. It's going to be a really tough call, but Thomas is going to need a little bit of help from Light to get a little tight, have a little misfortune, but right now, second, still nothing to hang your head on.
I know that we are at 8 laps to go. Our producer, Adam Flieger, if you could possibly show us the fuel window strategies for some of these trucks. And I am wondering here, who is on the cusp, Michael? You mentioned of not being able to go the distance. Some people are going to be short, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like the only one, let's see, Hagan didn't pit. He may end up short. Mowrer did not pit. I didn't see Thomas and Doucette pit, but apparently they did. I just missed that, I guess. So these top 3 are going to be okay, but Dane Hagan may have a little issues, him and Mowrer, along with Abbott there.
Yeah, there's your top 10. I see at least 3 out of the 10 trucks that are in the top 10 that cannot go the distance. And if they get a caution, Hunter, they're coming to the pits. And I believe this, a bold prediction. If a caution comes out, I think everybody's going to come down to the pit lane.
For sure, but now it's going to come down to who has the tires, but you almost don't want to caution too late. You want to caution the next lap or 2 to be able to have some time to work with something. You don't want to get a caution on lap 84, and now you have a green-white checker to try and pass.
That's right.
9, 10, 11 trucks. So a caution right now would be best ideal for some of those guys.
By the way, some trucks are on the pit lane as we approach 6 laps to go. Stephen Light is the leader. Stephen Thomas and Joey Doucette were battling for second spot. It is still heated, and all the while Dane Hagan has moved up there along with Justin Lumpkin. Michael, solid top 5 for Lumpkin. Great way to bounce back, by the way, after his Toyota got involved in a big wreck at Daytona last Friday night.
Absolutely, and I think he got called on that straightaway wreck as well. And then I want to give a call out to Dane Hagan. He has been here since the start. He's improved. These kind of finishes, he doesn't get them a lot, but just a great run from him if he can make it to the end on fuel right here. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
For sure. And you mentioned Lumpkin last week, Friday, getting a little bit of trouble. Monday night he got into some trouble. I was unfortunate part of that with him running at Homestead. Got a push from behind, and I couldn't hold on to it and collected some net code with the 18 of Lumpkin. So really a good run back for him to go from Daytona to Homestead to 5th here at Pocono so far with 5 laps to go in this one.
5 laps to go. As Hunter Bubba Parsons mentioned, Michael McKinnon, I'm Wesley Outlet. Adam Flieger is working on our NASRA 360 Racing Network productions. And of course, it is now go time. If you've got anything, you better show it now. Up on top of the drone view, Michael, we're seeing Thomas, we're seeing Doucette, but they have right in front of them light, and even though it looks like he's close in their hairs, that is a big distance of almost 20 truck lengths that they've got to try to run him down with 4 laps to go. I will say this though, lap traffic is in the midst of the leader. Could this determine an opportunity, Michael McKinnon, for Thomas or Doucette to reel him in like bait on a hook?
Well, it'll be up to Steven when he catches the traffic, of course. If he can get by quickly and right here, he's going to go ahead and take advantage of the lap car. Maybe get him off his line a little bit. That's all Steven can really hope for here to catch the other Steven. Is, as you said, it looks close on this straightaway. You can land a 747 on that front straightaway. That's how long that thing is.
Certainly almost looking at a 1.5 second gap between your first and second truck. 3 laps to go this time by. I just don't see anyone being able to catch that 97, and he is going to lead almost the entirety of this race with the occasional few laps when he did take tires and had to come through the field, but very strong showing from that BP for Autism. Number 97 entry of Stephen Light tonight here at Pocono.
What an amazing drive for the driver out of Asheville, North Carolina. Ironically, Michael and Bubba, I'm going to actually drive right through Asheville tonight. I was scheduled to be in Tennessee this morning, Georgia, then Tennessee. That changed on my schedule, so I'm at home in my office. So, going to make the drive overnight to Pigeon Forge. I'd rather drive overnight. Michael, you're a truck driver. You know what I mean. You can knock off a lot more miles, and there's a lot less traffic and idiots on the highway at nighttime than in the daytime, hands down, coming through. 3 laps to go, but all the while, Stephen Light is the man everyone's running down. He quickly got through the lap traffic, and Thomas is losing ground. He's also running out of time. We got closing to the finish of this race, 2 to go.
Yeah, I thought he was actually closing the gap there for a little bit, and then it looked like maybe a little slip somewhere, I'm not sure, and then the gap it increased again, but it looked like he was visibly running him down there for a little bit.
Yeah, and right now that gap is down to 3/4 of a second, so definitely a little bit of time lost there by the 97 Elite. Stephen Thomas going to do a late race charge here with just 1.5 laps to go around this tricky triangle.
Maybe less than a mile remaining now for these drivers, 1.5 miles, if you will, here at the 2.5-mile tricky triangle that is the Pocono Raceway, as they work their way now off of turn number 3. What turn 4? One thing though, in the midst of the leader, Stephen Light from Asheville, North Carolina, is about to be the home of snow-covered country. The white flag waving in his view as well. He has got 1 more lap to go, and Stephen Light trying to make it now the 2nd different winner on the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series of 2023 in Season 6. Hunter, the white flag in the air, he's on the lead lap for the final time.
Yeah, right now, Stephen Light going to have to give up a little bit of momentum as that lap car is going to stay to his outside. That's going to be Jeff Sickles kindly getting out of the way of your leaders on this last lap. Like I mentioned, Light had to give up a little bit of time. That's going to allow Stephen Thomas to close up the gap drastically through this tunnel turn as they come through turn 2. Stephen Light going to hold it out strong. Stephen Light in the wall!
He's in the wall! Light's in the wall! Here comes Thomas!
No!
Light slams the safer barrier. Here comes opportunity awaiting for Stephen Thomas. Can he get there? They come off the final turn. Hunter Parsons, who's going to win it?
Stephen Light in the 97 going to hold on to it. Little bit of bump and run trying in from, oh no. after the race, just tried to do what he could. Oh no! Unfortunately, there's probably not going to be a victory lap for that 97 of Stephen Light, but guys, Stephen Thomas did everything that he possibly could. I mean, he tried to give him a little bump in 3 and 4. We all know Stephen Thomas, a very clean racer. He tried to do what he could, try to make something happen. Didn't try to wreck him, which he easily could have done. But a good job by both those drivers to bring it home clean. And Stephen Light gonna bring it home in the win.
Michael, have you caught your breath yet? I don't think we even thought we'd see a last lap finish like that, man. Holy cow. Talk about opening up the opportunity. I was talking about a late race caution. I didn't think the top 2 trucks might be the caution.
Yeah, that little slap off the tunnel turn changed everything. And as Hunter said, Stephen could have dumped him right there. Did not. That's not Stephen Thomas's style. He wants to beat you straight. And then through 3, a little bump. Quite a finish to a race there. He closed about a second and a half over the last 3 laps.
And by the way, Stephen Light and Stephen Thomas will both be credited for first and second. When they had their accidents, when they hit the wall and crashed, they had already crossed the time of scoring at the scoring loop and start finish. So therefore, it will be credited for them to be first and second in the race. Joey Doucette will finish in 3rd. And you got to say again, Michael, Dane Hagen, Justin Lumpkin, solid top 5 finishes to bounce back after bad luck last week at Daytona here at Pocono tonight.
100%. Just big shout out to Dane. Pulled off his strategy. Good finish. Feel bad for everybody that got caught up on that thing on the front stretch. But what we ended up with, great finish. Didn't seem like we was going to have it, but we certainly did.
By the way, first win ever for the Stephen Light truck. That is the BP Racing for Autism sponsor on the 97. You look at the rest of the rundown. Obviously, we'll give it to you real quickly. Light, Thomas, Doucette, Hagen, Lumpkin, Mowrer, top 5, along with Nate Mowrer, 6th. Brian Abbott is 7th. Dana Shepard, 8th. Blake Lothian, 9th. And Bill Hales, it looks like, will finish in the top 10. Hunter, Cinnamon, Painter, Osborne, Knott, Klinkhart, Hess, Pitts, Stevenson, along with, of course, Rivera and Hartwick, your top 20, my friend.
For sure. Definitely a crazy finish there at the end. We saw the 97 get into the wall, and he did what he had to do. He saw Stephen Thomas come up on him. I was able to go back and watch kind of that last lap again, and Light had to do what he had to do. He came down, he blocked the run from that 23 of Thomas, and Thomas tried to give him that little bit of bump into 3. All clean racing. I know personally, if I was Stephen Light, I would have pulled that same block to try and block that run on Thomas. So really good job by those drivers, as you're watching right here.
The last lap replay one more time. Yeah, this is the final lap. So we'll watch it one more time here of what transitioned on this final lap. Michael, you're a legendary veteran iRacer. What's that last lap like there between, obviously, Thomas trying to win, by the way, ironically, from Millie's Restaurant, the sponsor of the race, but definitely the BP for Autism number 20, number 97 of Light would prevail here. But what you seeing here?
Well, what I'm seeing is, like I said, the last 3 laps, Stephen had the advantage. Stephen Thomas, that is. And then you see this smack right here, and I couldn't believe Thomas didn't get him right there. That takes so much momentum away. Just a great job by Stephen Light to hold on. And then right here, I think if he just couldn't quite get enough power down on the outside, usually you can get a big run right there, and he's just not able to get quite enough power down to get the finish.
And then he just tagged the left rear coming to the line of the 97. There you see the 23 did, and he caused more damage on his truck than more than Light did, probably, for sure. But again, they crossed the starting line. The race was official. And I'll tell you what, Hunter and Michael, in closing, because I got to hightail it out of here and head to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. But I will say this. That finish that we just saw tonight for the NASRA Truck Series reminds me of what happened between Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Jeremy Mayfield in 2000 at Pocono when Mayfield got his first career win with a bump and run. It just wasn't the bump and run where obviously we saw Light spinning up the top of the racetrack and the man in second getting the win. It was Light not being denied, continuing to hold on, stick his ground, and he's able to win the race.
For sure. Definitely a great finish there. And I'll be eager here after we go to a quick commercial break to talk to Thomas and then talk to Light and see kind of what was going through their heads in that last lap.
And mad props also to Joey Doucette as well, finished on the podium. Well, listen, everybody, it has been a privilege. It has been an honor to be able to join you this last week with coverage of NASRA. I possibly will be joining Michael and some other people on Thursday night for the Over the Top Designs Xfinity Series. I'll fill in or pop in for some big shows a time or two. Of course, filling in for the vacationing William Tiller this week. Fun times, Michael. Always great working with you. Hunter, it's been awesome working with you the last couple of Fridays. May God bless you all. We're going to step away and take a break. Hunter and Michael are going to handle post-race interviews as I'm about to hightail it on the road to the beautiful volunteer state of Pigeon Forge for awards broadcast obligations tomorrow night. But congratulations again to Stephen Light. We will step away. This has been coverage of the NASRA 360 Racing Network and the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series, the premier sim series of this North American Sim Racing Association sanctioning body since 2020. On behalf of Brady LaBeouf and everybody, thank you so much. We'll holler at y'all later. And again, Michael and Hunter will carry the interviews when we return. Guys, I'm going to bounce out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Pocono Speedway, where we just wrapped up our Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200 here at Pocono Speedway. Right now in the booth, I am Hunter Parsons, accompanied by Michael McKinnon and Adam Fleeger behind the camera. We got Joey Doucette, your podium finisher here tonight at Pocono. Joey, take us through your race here tonight. You had a rough few weeks leading up at the Coliseum, Daytona last week, and tonight you finally brought it home. You were able to finish, and you brought it home third tonight.
Patience. Being patient with the other drivers. Trying to stay out of big wrecks. I avoided the big one on that restart there. Took out a lot of good trucks and put me in the right position. Then it came down to another caution there. I was like, well, I can save that. Took another set of tires there and hope for the best. I led a lap. And then when Steven got in front of me there and he was just sailing away, and then I tried to hold off Thomas and I couldn't, and he passed me, and I just had nothing for him. My tires are already gone.
For sure, kind of throughout the race tonight, we talked about last week was a fuel strategy. Tonight was a tire strategy more so. How did your game plan kind of come into this one to try and save your tires as best as you can? or did you want to try and get out front and almost separate yourself before that tire wear kind of kicked in?
I tried in the first stage. I got some stage points. I tried, but them guys were just faster and better on their tires than I was. And then the beginning of the second stage, some of us didn't take tires, some of us did take tires, and I just fell back to 15th or so. I just couldn't hold it anymore, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna ride, see what happens, and if there's a big one, hopefully I can avoid it, and gain my track position there because I wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, that big one took out a lot of trucks. Sometimes though, you'd rather be lucky than good, and fortunate enough for you, you were able to get through it, lead a couple laps, and finish third tonight. So overall, pretty good finish, and heading on into the next week. What can you take from tonight to apply to next week?
Um, just being patient. I don't even know where we are next week, to be honest.
Texas.
Just be patient. I mean, I sometimes I can be aggressive. Mike knows that I can be aggressive sometimes, and I just got to be uh, in the right place at the right time, making the right moves at the right time, and not overdoing it and collecting somebody else. I mean, Daytona for me, I was the victim of somebody else's, but tonight I was on the other side of that, and praise the Lord for that one.
For sure. Well, Joey, the floor is yours. Any sponsors, shout outs you want to give before we let you go here tonight?
Like to thank Triple M Pulling, Mission 1 Race Cars. Even though I'm part of Mission 2, we have two teams, Nazareth 360 Racing Network, Blanchard's Towing, Pulse Poppers, Butt Kicker, is it Hoopies? I'm sorry, I'm really going to butcher that name. It's Hoopies Garage, right?
I believe so, yes.
Hoopties Garage. So I apologize for that. It's been my first podium in a while, so I do apologize for that. But I am excited to see what the rest of the season holds for us.
All right, Joey. Well, thank you, and hopefully we can talk to you again sometime here in the future.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Have a good night.
Again, that was your third place finisher tonight. That Mission 1 esports driver, 16, Joey Doucette, coming home third. And Michael, I believe you have the second place finisher, Stephen Thomas, on standby.
Stephen Thomas brings it home to a great second place finish tonight. Stephen, this is Mike, of course. You can tell by the beautiful voice. Tell us how you were able to run down that big gap with about 3 to go. I mean, you just looked like you just hit the go button, and you really started to reel Stephen in. And then when he hit the wall there, us in the booth, I thought you had it for sure. But tell us how that all transpired and what you might have been able to do different.
Man, I really have no idea where that came from, Michael. I mean, I was learning from everybody else the whole race. And the last 10 laps, I just found something. Coming out of the last turn there, before the big straight stretch, I was getting huge runs where early on in the race I was losing runs really bad. I just found something, and it was gone, man. Obviously Steven light or whatever burn him up trying to get back up to the front after pitting there, and I thought for sure I had no chance. I thought I was going to get passed by a couple people because I didn't take tires the whole third stage. I had an extra set to go. So like I said, I thought I was going to get passed by a few people, finished about 5th or 6th, and kind of be happy. And then all of a sudden I started running down Joey, and he kind of was in my way for a second. I got by him, and just they started ticking down with Steven. I was like, holy cow, I have a chance. And when he hit the wall, same thing in my head, Michael. I thought, dude, I got this. And then to me, it looked like he turned hard left to throw a block there. I guess he did what he had to do. And then, me being angry at that, I honestly tried to turn him in the next turn, and instead I should have just went high and got around him. I feel like if I took the high line right there and just held on to it, I get him on that long straight stretch run. So I let anger take over for a second, and I tried to turn him getting into that next turn there.
Yeah, that's something we never see from you. You seem to be always calm and collected. That's how I kind of called it on the broadcast. I thought if you could have got to the high side, maybe you give it a run. But were you able to miss most of that on the front stretch on the restart, or did you get a little bit of damage that might have affected a little bit anything?
I don't know. I mean, I hit him pretty hard. You talking about when I hit him when he come off the wall?
Yeah, I just couldn't tell. There were so many cars we couldn't tell where anybody was. I didn't know how much damage you may have gotten.
No, you mean on the wreck, on the restart, correct?
On the restart, yes, on the
Yeah,
restart.
I actually got through that very cleanly. I had to go through the little pit exit there, so it gave me a black flag, but obviously we know what's going on there. And it turns out, entering the pit, that caution, I was like focused on should I do this, should I do that, and I was messing with a lot of stuff, and I got excessive speeding in pit, so I had to go to the back of the line anyway. I was completely clean in that caution, got no damage, got out of it just fine, but I was speeding the pit during that caution, so I had to go back anyway. But no, my truck, as far as I know, was clean the whole race. I had no damage when I went in.
Yeah, 10-4. That sounds great. Just a great run for you, as always. That's what we getting accomplished, getting accustomed to seeing out of our champions. So another great run for you. Floor is yours, buddy. Get shout outs for all the sponsors, whatever you need to do. Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Michael. Obviously, I want to start off with you guys in the booth and Nazra 360 Network, and I want to thank Brady, and 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 I want to thank Triple M Pulling, Buck Fisher, Pulse Poppers, Starbase. I believe that's all my correct ones. I want to thank my teammates, man. This was the first race. Everybody was here, man. I had Blake and Jeff and Justin and Adam. Adam had some unfortunate luck, but we had a really good run as a team today, and they kept me calm the whole time, man. Like I said, I was kind of upset with the way everybody was pulling away from me, and they were just kind of helping me through the whole race, and I believe that's why I found what I did at the end. I want to thank Millie's Restaurant, my sponsor, and I want to thank Justin, the guy that paints all of our trucks. Man, he does a teammate Justin does a great job on the trucks, and I think I covered everybody, man. Anybody who watches and supports, appreciate it.
All right, so there's your second place finisher, defending champion Stephen Thomas. And all I can say is have a good night, buddy. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
And Hunter, I think we're about ready to bring in our winner of tonight's race.
For sure. Tonight we talked with the 97. We talked a lot about him throughout the entirety of this race. Steven, first off, I gotta ask, how do you pronounce your last name here?
Light, like a light bulb.
Okay, perfect. So we've been getting it right tonight. As I mentioned, we talked about you almost the entire race. You were the truck to beat all night. You stayed up front. You had to have led almost close to 80 laps out of this 85 lapper. Just an overall dominant performance by you tonight.
Yeah, I had, I had the track figured out. I figured a couple things out in the tunnel turn. I thought the tunnel turn was the key corner. The tunnel turn had, for the most part, was the biggest difference of speed versus everybody else. I think everybody in the field had 1 and 2 figured out, but the tunnel turn in turn 2, there was a lot to be gained, and I think I just had a feel for it, and a lot of guys didn't. But at the end of that race, I never saw Steve coming. The other Steven, I never saw him coming, and he started coming with like 5 to go, and I was kind of relaxed up there with that big lead and just kind of riding. And then when I saw him coming, I started pushing. And when I started pushing, I started making mistakes. And I've already said in our group chat, and I apologize to him, when I got into the wall in the last lap out of 2, I did turn left to make him choose left or right. I wanted to make sure I had a chance to still win the race. I wasn't trying to make him run into me. And he ended up running into me, costing him the race. So I've been on both sides of that, and I do apologize. I don't like racing that way. I like winning, being the fastest car, but I've also been on the not receiving side of that, where you're not winning the race because something happened. So I did apologize and said I didn't mean to make you run into me. I turned off the wall trying to make him choose top or bottom to get around me and give me a chance to still beat him back to the line.
For sure. And we kind of talked with Steven about it too. The other Steven, as you mentioned, he mentioned you kind of did what you had to do. And I kind of heard on the race chat earlier, anyone else would have kind of done that. I know personally I would have tried to do whatever I could to hold on to that win, but still a very dominating performance tonight by you. Early on, I picked you as my pick. I didn't think anyone was really going to have anything that for you. that big wreck on that front stretch took out a lot of good cars. Keith Bradley being one of them, who is persistently within that second or so gap of you. How did that kind of change your race, knowing a lot of those guys that were up front almost that entire race were taken out at that one caution?
Yeah, once Keith was out, I kind of thought I had a cushion, so I was a little more. I wasn't as aggressive on the restarts like I would normally be because I knew Keith pretty much had the track figured out just like I did, and I knew he was going to be the guy I had to beat at the end. And when he got caught up in all that stuff, or he had a bad pit stop, that's why he got back there, and his pit stop is what got him back there. Once that happened, I actually thought it was going to be clear sailing, but I had a strategy. I was actually going to run that third stage out to about lap 30 before I pitted, because if there's no caution or caution after that, I was still going to have fresher tires than the guys that pitted earlier. And when that caution came out around, I think it was around lap 60, and I was like right on the border of pitting or not pitting, but I was worried that if I didn't pit, there wasn't going to be another caution, and rightfully so, there wasn't. So I definitely made the right calls on my pit stops tonight. There was no other way I could have done those and still been in the position I was in. But I mean, Steven he saved his tires perfectly. I mean, obviously 5, 6, 7 laps to go, I didn't even know he was in a factor. I was just in cruise mode, and then with about 5 or 4 to go, I saw him get to second, and I saw he gained a half a second the last lap, and I was like, oh, damn, I got to get going. And then I got lap traffic, and everything got, really complicated there at the end, but it was a good race. And I don't condone, I'm going to say this, I don't condone the blocking. I don't. I've just noticed that online recently that a lot of guys do it. So I've been victim of that. And I don't do that normally, but I'm tired of losing by not doing it. So I chose to come off the wall, off of turn 2, and go to the middle of the track and make him choose left or right, so that would slow him down, but he ended up running into me. So I wasn't trying to wreck him. I wasn't trying to, obviously I was not going to just stay against the wall and let him have the bottom and win the race. But, I was just trying to make sure I had a chance to still win the race.
For sure. And I know for sure you're going to have a very happy team owner, Eric Zimmerman, owning that BP for Autism, number 97. Very dominant performance, and the time is yours now. Any shout outs or sponsors you want to get before we let you get going and celebrate?
Please support autism. It's a big issue in the country, in the world. Please donate. It's a good cause. That's why it's on our trucks. We appreciate the support. We appreciate the listeners and the followers, and we love you all, and hopefully we'll have an even better race next week.
Well, thank you, Steven, and hopefully we get to talk to you next week here when we head over to the Texas Motor Speedway.
Yes, sir.
All right, again, that was your race winner here at Pocono in the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200, the 97 machine. BP for Autism, the number 97 is Stephen Light. Well, Michael, that's about going to wrap it up for us here tonight out in Long Pond, Pennsylvania here at Pocono Speedway. Very exciting finishing to this one. Almost a photo finish. Just couldn't expect any more out of Stephen Thomas and Stephen Light running really hard for that race win.
No, the finish was fantastic. Thoughts and prayers go out to all the guys that got caught up in that incident on the front. A lot of great trucks, a lot of great competitors taken out. We saw Stephen Light dominate, which we might have expected a little bit. We saw Bradley being strong, and then in the end, our champion from last season almost pulled it off at the end. So it was a great finish, and we appreciate everybody for watching, sticking with us, and join us again next Friday night. We'll be at Texas.
For sure, and you can catch all the NASRA action here on the NASRA Racing Network. Kicking back off on Monday when we go back to the Sim Racer Hub Truck Series on Monday night. I'm Hunter Parsons, joined by Michael McKinnon in the booth and Adam Flieger, always behind the camera here on Friday nights in the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you guys again on Monday night.